Chapter 2375, Level 4. Chapter 2375, Level for the Sword Spirit / down. Descend. The void and darkness vanished. All of his power vanished in an instant. The bodies of Long Fei, Xiao Dai, and Yi Yurong instantly collapsed as well, and they fainted on the ground. I heard about it. A system announcement rang out in Long Fei's mind. Ding! Congratulations to the player, Long Fei, for obtaining 600,000 experience while killing mysterious object. The true chi is worth 100,000 points. Arrogant god energy value is worth 0. Other than this, there was no other sound. None of the treasures dropped. However, with 60 million experience points, the system once again sounded out. Ding! Congratulations to player, Long Fei, for leveling up. Current level, Essence Condensation level, 2. Ding! Congratulations to player, Long Fei, for leveling up. Current level, Essence Condensation level, 3. Ding! Congratulations to player, Long Fei, for leveling up. Current level, Essence Condensation, 5th stage. He instantly leveled up by 4 levels, and Long Fei did not even know about all this. With his consciousness controlled, even though he had leveled up, he wasn't able to recover instantly. He felt his body relax a little bit. In his daze, he saw a peerlessly beautiful woman who looked like a spirit body looking at him from the sky. Big Sister Goddess. And then, his consciousness went still again. Sky Sword Spirit looked at Long Fei and muttered, "What a powerful strength." She could clearly feel it, even though it was only a tiny bit, but instant kill. If not for the power emitted by the dragon-shaped mark, she wasn't sure if this strike would be able to kill her. After all, that mysterious figure just now was too powerful. Furthermore, with the inheritance of the powerful ancient world, it was very likely to be the clone of the ancient world. Sky Sword Spirit looked around, feeling strange in his heart. Why would there be ancient world-s at the inheritance level in this place? Isn't it true that the powerhouse S who received the ancient world's inheritance are all in the universal realm? The level of the Zhen Wu continent S was too low. Inheritance-leveled powerhouse S were completely useless here. It would only waste his time here. This was the reason why the Sky Sword Spirit could not understand. Looking at the runes on the wall, Sky Sword Spirit muttered, "All of these are the words of the Ming clan." She looked at the slightly open stone door at the end of the corridor and thought, could it be? Is it really the tomb of the Ming clan's war god, Minglong? Netherworm. He was once the #1 powerhouse on the Grand Mist ranking, and was once the first war god of the universal realm. If it's his grave, then. Sky Sword Spirit looked at Long Fei. She was also slightly excited in her heart. The #1 war god of the primordial era, even if only his corpse was left, if he could make good use of it, it would definitely be able to greatly increase her cultivation. Perhaps he would be able to break through the seal in her body and recover to the peak of his cultivation. The Sky Sword Spirit also required cultivation. She was the same as the ordinary warriors, eager to become stronger. The tomb of the first god of war. It was too tempting. Even she couldn't resist it. The Sky Sword Spirit moved slightly. Wang. He landed at the foot of the stone steps. There was no sound coming from the inside, and there was no sense of danger. Do you want to go in? Sky Sword Spirit wanted to see what was happening inside through the crack in the stone door. Enter. Not going in? The first war god of Grand Mist. If it really is the burial ground of the Nether Dragon's body, then, if I can swallow this power, then the seal in my body will be able to break through. When the time comes, I will know everything, and I can also better protect him. So, the heart of the Sky Sword Spirit had already wavered. Enter. The Sky Sword spirit moved slightly. She wanted to become strong, wanted to break through the seal in her body. In that instant, buzz! The Sky Sword spirit flew into the stone door. The moment she entered, the stone door suddenly slammed shut. Everything quieted down again. The current Sky Sword had already broken through the second stage after Long Fei unleashed his universal soul earlier, and her strength had become even stronger. However, there were still 7 layers of taboos on her body. He had to break through the 7th layer in order to recover his full strength. Breaking through the 2nd layer of the forbidden technique was already quite powerful. Boom! With a loud bang, the stone door opened wide, and Sky Sword Spirit flew out. Fresh blood sprayed out wildly, and her face was extremely pale as she flew out from the stone door, colliding against the stone wall several thousand meters away. Poochie! He spat out a mouthful of blood. The Sky Sword also moved and instantly floated beside the Sword Spirit. The Sword Spirit immediately entered the Sky Sword. In just a few seconds, what happened inside? Sky Sword is a divine sword birthed by the ancient world, an existence at 3rd place on the primordial divine weapon ranking. But a few seconds, and he was heavily injured, and he instantly hid within the Sky Sword. How strong was the monster inside? An unimaginable existence. She didn't even see what the monster inside was. After entering, her cultivation was immediately suppressed by a powerful force. This power was the power of the ancient inheritance. Without giving her any time to consider, he attacked immediately. She only managed to withstand 2 strikes. The 3rd move was immediately thrown out. Heavily wounded. Clang! The Sky Sword fell down. The stone door slowly closed, leaving a small gap, as if nothing had happened just now. 2 hours later. Ugh. Long Fei's eyelids twitched. He forced it open and exhaled deeply. He then touched his crotch and heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, second brother is still here. And then Long Fei crawled up, and a woman lying on the side immediately came forward and shook him and said, "Sister Xiao Dai, you wrong, wake up." The 2 of them had painful expressions on their faces, as if they were unwilling to be woken up from a dream. After the 2 of them woke up, Yorong was immediately shocked and asked, "Where are we?" "Xiao Dai, what did you see?" Just like Long Fei, she couldn't wake up no matter how hard she tried when she saw Xiao Dai's blank stare. When she tried to go up, her consciousness was immediately controlled. No memory at all. Xiao Dai shook his head and said, I do not know alonged. You know what's going on?" The goddess's sister's spirit body appeared in Long Fei's mind, and he muttered, "I don't know either. I saw the 2 of you standing there motionlessly. I also walked up, and then suddenly lost consciousness. Who saved us?" Yorong asked. Long Fei shook his head. At this moment, his heart skipped a beat. I leveled up, and it was 4 levels consecutively. What's going on? Could it be, did I just kill a super big boss? Was it killed in a dream? Or should I say? Long Fei thought of that immortal elder sister and asked, was that immortal sister the one who helped me kill him? Looking at Long Fei's dazed expression, Xiao Dai could not help but ask, "Along, what are you thinking about?" Long Fei came back to reality and said, "Nothing." Yorong looked at the stone door in front of the hallway and muttered, "Should we go in?" Chapter 2376, Royal Alchemist. Chapter 2376, Royal Alchemist. In the secret world below the main hall, Yorong wanted to enter right away, because she wanted to find out whether or not this was the Lord Minglong's tomb. Long Fei also looked at the half-open stone door. Inside the stone door, it was as if there was a voice that was continuously luring him inside. "Young man, come in. Little handsome brother, come on. Come on. There's anything in it you want. Come on in and play. Shout Dai was also staring at the scene in a daze. Yurong swallowed his saliva, slowly walked forward, and said, "Let's go in and take a look. We'll take a look and then leave." If it really was the necropolis of the Netherworm, then she would be free, because the Ming clan no longer needed her, and she could live the life she wanted. She no longer had a mission, and she no longer had any responsibilities. She could marry. Everything was free. Yurong really wanted to free himself. She walked forward step by step, and just as she was about to reach the top of the stairs, her eyes lit up as she muttered, "As long as it is the necropolis of the Netherworm, I will be free." The moment she stepped onto the stairs, Long Fei ran forward and grabbed her hand. "You can't enter." Yurong was pulled down by Long Fei and asked, "Why can't I enter?" Long Fei said, "If I say you can't enter, then you can't." It was not because of anything else, but because the stone door was constantly enticing him. The more he explained, the more dangerous it was for him to not enter. Moreover, Long Fei was sure now that the danger zone was not the tomb of the primordial first god of War Minglong. It was definitely a trap. Yurong said, "What if it really is the Lord Minglong's tomb? Do you know what that means?" Long Fei replied, "I don't know. I only know that you can't enter." Yurong was struggling as he said, "It means that I no longer have to carry the mission of rising to prominence in the Ming clan. I no longer have to dedicate myself to the rise of the Ming clan. I can marry, I can be taught by a couple." When she said that last sentence, Yurong looked at Long Fei. She almost said, "I can marry you." She hated that she was someone from the Ming clan. He hated the gifted soul of underworld on his body. No one knew how much she envied being an ordinary girl. Long Fei looked at the stone door, and then hugged Yurong tightly in his embrace. "No one can force you to do anything you don't want to, because you are my woman." Yurong's heart suddenly melted. He laid on Long Fei's shoulder and started to bawl. Xiao Dai regained her senses, and tears started streaming down her face. It was also at this time Long Fei said in a low voice, "I promise you, I will definitely bring you in to take a look, but it's definitely not right now." He had to become stronger. He became incomparably powerful. Otherwise, how could they deal with the monsters inside if they couldn't even deal with a single black hair zombie? According to the design of the game, the first and second level bosses were usually smaller. The last level bosses were much stronger. What was behind the stone door? Long Fei didn't even need to think to know that this was definitely an extremely powerful boss. Even a mutated black hair zombie required him to use the universal soul to save his life. So before he was completely confident, Long Fei didn't want to die. However, he would definitely come, because he would definitely kill this boss. A few minutes later, Long Fei picked up the sky sword, feeling puzzled in his heart. How did my sword fall so far? Furthermore, why is there blood on the sword? Not only that, he felt that the sky sword seemed to be injured. He felt that something was very wrong, but he didn't know what was wrong. Returning the sword to its sheath, Long Fei walked out with Yurong and Xiao Dai. Thin Monkey and the big-sized man had recovered a lot after consuming the pills, while Silver Warbear and One-Eyed Tiger had recovered quite a bit, too. They saw Long Fei walking out. The two men immediately walked up to him and said, "Boss, you've finally figured it out. You've caused us both to die from anxiety." Long Fei said indifferently, "The people from War Beast Regiment did not charge forward, right?" The Thin Monkey said, "No, there are no people from War Beast Regiment in the valley either. When Transformers went out to check, he found that there are no more Zhou's army around. Other than the more than 1,000 people that had rushed into the secret world, there were still many people at the edges of the valley." Suddenly, All of them retreated. Could it be that Zhou Yaozong gave up? Impossible. Zhou Yaozong's ambition was enormous, so he definitely would not give up. However, Long Fei did not think too much into it at the moment, and said, "Since the troops have retreated, let us return to the Xianyu sect." Thin Monkey immediately replied, "All right." Yurong said, "Aren't we going to the Spirit Medicine Valley to collect spirit grass?" The spirit grass that they had collected on their way here had all been refined by Long Fei. One must know that there were still a few more days until the Xianyu sect gave out an exception, and that was when thousands of medicinal pellets would be issued. Without spirit grass, how could he refine it? Just those weeds? The success rate was too low, and it was not because of the strong effects of the elixir. In order to obtain alchemy, one had to use a spirit grass. Long Fei shook his head and said, "I'll head back to the Xianyu sect." Xiao Dai said, "Along, then about the monthly arrangements." Long Fei laughed and said, "Don't worry, I have a way." Actually, Long Fei was not confident. He was just worried that Zhou Yaozong would still cause trouble. It was too dangerous in Xianyu mountain range. If not for the fact that they relied on Secret World's natural terrain advantage, they would definitely be dead this time. If the Zhou's army from the mountains appeared again, or if the experts from the Zhao family appeared, they would all have to answer to him here. Then again, what's the situation with the Xianyu sect? Return to the Xianyu sect first. Even if he could not concoct the spirit pellet and could not submit a monthly rule, Long Fei would still be punished. Thin Monkey was injured. The big guy was injured. Yurong was also injured. He couldn't delay any longer and had to hurry back to the sect. At least, even if something were to happen in the Xianyu sect, there was still a powerhouse with a Zhenwu realm on his side. 3 days later, Xianyu sect. Nothing happened along the way. Zhou's army also did not appear again. Returning to Xianyu sect, Long Fei heaved a sigh of relief. "Yo, isn't this the great elder of the Pill Pavilion? Finally back. I thought I escaped from Xianyu sect. First elder, how are you preparing for the monthly pills? I heard that if you are unable to hand over the spirit medicine the entire sect is cultivating with, you will have to expel the Xianyu sect. He disappeared for more than 10 days. I don't think he can take out any spiritual medicines at all. Just wait and expel him from Xianyu sect." On the way, there were people who were constantly laughing at him. When Yu Wanshan received the news that Long Fei had returned to the sect, he immediately ran over. Long Fei said, "Elder Yu, didn't you say that it's not even been a month since you were banned? Why have you left the treasure refining pavilion?" Yu Wanshan's brows tightened and said, "You still have the heart to joke around. If you are unable to refine the pellets the disciples of the entire sect cultivate, you will be expelled from the Xianyu sect." Also, Long Fei said, "And what?" Yu Wanshan said, "Moreover, Xianyu sect has arrived. He is here to replace you as the great elder of the Pill Pavilion." Chapter 2377. Long Fei, don't be so presumptuous. Chapter 2377. Long Fei, don't be so presumptuous. After Zhou Yuan and the others notified the Zhou family of the southern county, they also casually informed the Zhao family. Knowing the unforeseen event in the Xianyu sect and Zhao Yiqian's situation, the queen of Zhao flew into a rage and immediately attacked the Xianyu sect. Coincidentally, the violent tremors in the Xianyu mountain range caught Zhao Wuji's attention. His mission as the envoy of the gods' tribe did not deceive him. The Xianyu sect did indeed have a great treasure in his hands, and it was very powerful. He was originally going to make a move against Xianyu sect, but he resisted it for a moment. Wait until the gods' sect gathering. However, after all, Zhao Yiqian was his son. Furthermore, his eldest son, Zhao Haoyan's life force had been crippled, and his Zhao family's fire of incense had been threatened. Zhao Wuji did not stand by and watch, but sent his royal alchemist. Of course, all of this was aimed at Long Fei, because all of this was caused by Long Fei. Royal alchemist. Thin Monkey was surprised for a moment, and then said in astonishment, "Isn't that very strong?" Yuan Shan said, "More than that, he is not an ordinary alchemy master. He cultivates the imperial qi of the Zhao family, and his cultivation has reached a terrifying realm of spirit refinement." "Right. Long Fei, did you go out to collect spirit grass this time? How is the collection going?" Yuan Shan was very worried. Royal alchemist had an extraordinary background. He had only been in the Xianyu sect for less than 2 hours, yet he had already subdued all the elders and disciples in the Pill Pavilion. Right now, everyone in the Xianyu sect wished for Long Fei to be expelled from the Xianyu sect, because taking the pills refined by the royal alchemist was a symbol of his identity, so the pills he refined would definitely be even more powerful. Long Fei shook his head and said, "Not a single spirit grass could be found." "What?" Yuan Shan stared at Long Fei in shock and said, "One? A stalk? Not even spirit grass? Then what have you been doing all this time?" There were only 4 days left before the distribution date. The entire sect had thousands of pills. Even without food or water, 4 days and 4 nights wouldn't be enough time to refine that many pills. And now, there aren't even any spirit grasses. We're finished. We're really done for this time. Yuan Shan was an impatient person. Anxiety was written all over his face. Yirong also frowned and said, "I'm going to the spiritual medicine valley to gather spirit grass." Long Fei said, "No need. There's no time. Even if you collect the spirit grass, it will be useless. It would take a few days to make a trip to the depths of Xian Yu mountain range." It was already too late. Yirong said, "But without spirit grass, how would you refine it? If you get expelled from Xianyu sect, what about me?" Thin Monkey replied, "Yes, boss." The big size guy said, "Boss, you can't be kicked out of Xianyu sect." Xiao Dai said angrily, "My father is now the acting sect master. I'll go tell him. If he dares to expel you from the Xianyu sect, I won't care about him anymore." Yuan Shan said, "It's useless." That royal alchemist was the one who forced the sect master to do this. He has no other choice. Even if he doesn't expel you from the Xianyu sect, I'm afraid none of the disciples in Xianyu sect can tolerate you. This was what Yuan Shan was worried about. The royal alchemist stood guard in the pill pavilion. That disciple didn't want the pill that he refined, even if Long Fei was a 9th-ranked alchemy master. So what? No cards at all. Long Fei never thought that a royal alchemist would suddenly appear, and said lightly, "We'll talk after going to the pill pavilion." "Huh." Yuan Shan was startled. He wanted to say something, but when he reacted, Long Fei had already walked far away. "Crap!" Yuan Shan's heart tensed up, and he shouted loudly, "Long Fei, don't go to the pill pavilion, don't go." He also chased after her in a hurry. What kind of grass can have alchemy? Bullshit. What elixir's fragrance can't spread out? This is bullshit too. They're all bullshit. They don't even know bullshit. And this kind of person knows alchemy? Laughable, extremely ridiculous. A white-haired old man held the Buddhist dust in his hand, his eyes filled with disdain. He was dressed in luxurious clothes. The aura he gave off was that of an emperor's. His aura was extraordinary. It gave people a feeling of incomparable power. Alchemy far away. The white-haired old man was extremely disdainful as he started to curse. "Master is right. I also said that Brat didn't even know alchemy and relied on luck to refine a few pills before raising his tail to the sky. What does he count as?" "We refined more spirit grass than he did." Yet you want to teach us a lesson? Is he even worthy of it? Exactly. It's very likely that he was the one who cheated during the pill bet last time. I just don't believe that he could win against the elder no matter what. There are still 4 days. If he is unable to complete the monthly mission given to him by the Xianyu sect, he will be expelled from the Xianyu sect. Many of the elders in the alchemy courtyard spoke out. They were still full of hatred towards Long Fei. It was not only because of Yi Changfeng, but also because Long Fei had told them that their several decades of experience in alchemy were worthless. The white-haired old man said slightly, "For a tumor in the alchemy realm, expelling such a person from a sect is considered light." There was another person standing beside him, Zhao Yiqian. Zhao Yiqian laughed coldly and said respectfully, "Elder Kong, expelling him from the sect is letting him off easily. If you want me to say so, I will kill him immediately." The old man smiled and said, "Your Highness, don't worry. Your mother has made sufficient preparations. Those who dare to go against the Zhao family will not have a good ending." Not waiting for him to finish, Thin Monkey shouted, "Who hasn't met a good end? Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Asterisk, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Asterisk, everyone in Alchemy Courtyard turned to look at the door. The Thin Monkey and the big-sized man stood at the entrance. Long Fei walked into the distance and laughed. "So many people. Are they welcoming me back?" Zhao Yiqian immediately whispered into the white-haired old man's ears, "Elder Kong, he is Long Fei." The white-haired old man frowned. His pair of deep eyes immediately locked onto Long Fei. The corner of his mouth revealed a cold and disdainful sneer, and he muttered, "I had thought that it was some kind of expert, but it's just a wet-behind-the-ears brat. Humph." He started alchemy from the age of 15. Now he was 90 years old and had been researching alchemy for 75 whole years. He would use the pill to step into the Tao, breaking through to the spirit refinement realm through the path of alchemy. He knew very well. Alchemy, different from training, it didn't rely on luck. It relied on the experience gained from walking step by step. It relied on the accumulation of time. What use was a teenage brat like this supposed to be? It was extremely disdainful. The white-haired old man looked at Long Fei, who was also looking at him. The corners of his mouth curled up as he smiled. "Yo, has the Pill Pavilion recruited a new disciple?" "An old man?" "Old man, do you want to learn alchemy as well?" "It's always a little old. What's the matter with one sentence? When you are old and learned, I admire you for your studious spirit. Today, I will make an exception and accept you as my disciple." It was also at this time. The Pill Pavilion elder suddenly stood up and shouted, "Long Fei, don't be so presumptuous." Chapter 2378, Arrogant on This Father's Territory. Chapter 2378, Arrogant on This Father's Territory. All of them were infuriated. All of them stared deadly at Long Fei. It was as if Long Fei was their arch-enemy. In these few days, because of the white-haired elder's teachings, they had a new understanding of the alchemy technique. There were even a few people who had broken through their realms. They held great respect for the white-haired old man. Furthermore, how could they allow Long Fei to humiliate them? Yurong also looked at Long Fei and said in a low voice, he should be Royal Alchemist Kong Dowling. She was reminding Long Fei. Let Long Fei pay attention to a few words. His words just now had greatly offended this high and mighty royal alchemist. Long Fei acted as if he did not hear it, and stared at the furious clan elder, and said, "What's wrong? He's your father? How dare you?" The old elder roared again. Long Fei glared and said, "You are the one who is presumptuous to actually dare to speak to me in such a manner. Do you still remember my identity?" The elder's eyes narrowed. Indeed, He had forgotten, of course. The entire Pill Pavilion did not place Long Fei, the great clan elder, in their eyes. Naturally, no one remembered his identity. Such authority, Kong Dowling said indifferently. Long Fei also said lightly, "What? You have any objections? Do you believe that I won't take you in as my disciple? Before I change my mind, you should hurry up and pay respects. Don't be so long-winded. Just kneel down and say whatever you want." Long Fei put on a very casual look. To have royal alchemist take him as his master? Moreover, or kneel and kowtow. This is courting death. Let alone Long Fei. Even the current emperor Zhao Wuji did not dare to be too rude to him. Immediately, Kong Dowling's eyes darkened. A bright light burst out from his eyes. The light carried a strong sense of majesty. The imposing aura became even denser and directly smashed towards Long Fei. Boom, boom. The air rumbled as a ferocious beast pounced over. Zhao Yiqian smiled as he thought in his heart, "Long Fei, let's see if you'll die or not this time." The pressure of the spirit refinement realm, with the addition of Emperor's Qi, very fierce, let alone the power of the Emperor's Qi. Even Long Fei could not withstand the pressure of a spirit refinement realm cultivator. However, at this moment, roar. With a roar, Transformers suddenly rushed out from within the Warpet space. The armor on his body moved, his four limbs supporting the ground. He opened his mouth and roared fiercely. Roar! The sound wave was like a wave as it heavily rolled out. Buzz! Rumble, 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 rumble. With a violent rumble, he forcefully blocked the attack. When it collided with the pressure of the spirit refinement realm, the pressure instantly shattered. The strong sound wave continued to strengthen and directly smashed in front of Kong Dowling. Not waiting for him to stand up, Transformers used his strength again. Boom! The chairs and people were immediately thrown away. Kong Dowling somersaulted a few times and fell down like a dog eating shit. His mouth was filled with mud, and he was in an extremely sorry state. It was also at this time Transformers slightly loosened up. She quietly stood by Long Fei's side, not moving at all. His gaze, was fixated on Kong Dowling, who was on the ground. The pressure exuded by a peak level 9 demon beast was not something that a person who only cultivated in the way of alchemy could withstand. Moreover, after taking Long Fei's pills and spirit beast pills during this period of time, Transformers' cultivation had increased to a new level, and he was on the verge of breaking through. It was only one step away from an Earth-rank demon beast. Originally, Long Fei wanted to have Transformers cultivate in the Xianyu mountain range. However, the Transformers felt that he would not be able to break through inside the Xianyu mountain range, and thus wanted to enter the human world to train before Long Fei brought him out. At the same time, he also gave the silver war bear to the big guy. The one-eyed tiger was given to the thin monkey. As for Xiao Dai, all of these things weren't suitable for her, and Long Fei was also thinking of a way to make her feel more like a bird-type demon beast. What is that sound? Demon beast. The roar of the great demon beast. Is there any demon beast attacking Xianyu sect? I didn't hear the bell. It's the Pill Pavilion. Hurry and support them. The voice of the Transformers was too powerful, causing the entire Xianyu sect to be shocked. Many elders and disciples rushed towards the Pill Pavilion peak. Yu Wanshan ran into the alchemy courtyard. Looking at the mighty Transformers, he exclaimed in his heart, "Good boy." Seeing Kong Dowling, who had fallen flat on the ground, not daring to crawl back up, his face sank again. Crap, this time is really bad. Quickly running forward, he supported Kong Dowling up and said, Elder Kong, I'm sorry. He just came back and still doesn't know your identity. Kong Dowling's face was extremely ugly. He stared straight at Long Fei and bellowed, "Do you know who I am?" Long Fei shrugged and said, "I don't know why." Yuan Shan was anxious. "Look, he really doesn't know about your identity. Otherwise he wouldn't dare to be disrespectful to you." Kong Dowling flung his sleeves and directly flung Yuan Shan away. He glared at Long Fei and said, "I am Royal Alchemist Zhao Guo." Long Fei said, "Oh, what's wrong? What's wrong?" Kong Dowling was so angry that his face was flushed red. He looked at Long Fei's indifferent look and clenched his teeth so hard that they crackled loudly. If not for the Transformers demon beast by Long Fei's side, he would have ripped Long Fei apart. "Kneel down and apologize." "What?" Long Fei stuck out his ear and asked. Kong Dowling shouted, "Kneel down and apologize, or else my Xianyu sect will disappear from Zhao Guo's sight." "Louder, I didn't hear you." Long Fei continued to pretend to be stupid. "I really didn't hear it. What did he say? You want to kneel down and acknowledge me as your teacher?" How preposterous! Kong Dowling was so angry that smoke was about to come out of his head, and he shouted loudly, "Brat, I told you to kneel down and apologize, and not let me make you—" Without waiting for Kong Dowling to finish speaking, Long Fei immediately roared in anger, "I'll kneel your ass." In that instant, Transformers, who was standing up, suddenly pressed down with his front limbs. Boom, boom. He directly stood in front of Kong Dowling. Roar. Another roar. Swish, swish. The gorgeous clothes on Kong Dowling's body directly ripped and flew out. His entire body was smooth, only leaving behind a pair of sexy red underpants with unkempt hair. He was in an extremely sorry state. Long Fei asked once again, "What did you say just now? Do you want to acknowledge me as your teacher?" He was completely stupefied. When had Kong Dowling been stomped like this before? When had I ever seen such a savage demon beast? He was trembling with fear. "Go, go, go," Kong Dowling said. Two attendants stood up to help him. They were about to leave. Long Fei looked at him and said, "Did I let you go?" Kong Dowling trembled inwardly and said, "What else do you want?" Long Fei said, "Leaving just like that? Do you think that you can come here just because you want to? Can I leave if I want to? Don't you know whose territory this is? This is my territory." "Understood." Kong Dowling asked, "What do you want?" Long Fei said, "I don't want to do anything either. I don't know how you came here, but I want to see all of you scram out of the pill pavilion. Remember, it's used to scram." At this moment, Long Fei muttered in his heart, "What damned system is this to actually issue such a mission?" Chapter 2379, Opening the Chest, Peacock King Egg. Chapter 2379, Opening the Chest, Peacock King Egg. You want to leave after acting cool? Damn it! Is there such a good thing? So what if it was a royal pill refiner? Is there a need for lousy to use you? Furthermore, Kong Dowling's arrogant expression made Long Fei unhappy. This is the Xianyu sect. Even if you were Zhao Guo's emperor, Zhao Wuji, you have no right to make anyone kneel. A mere royal alchemist could go to the skies. Did you hear that? Get out. Thin Monkey shouted. Kong Dowling said solemnly, "Brat, don't go overboard. I am still a royal alchemist. If you dare treat me like this, aren't you afraid that Zhao Guo will flatten your Xianyu sect?" Long Fei said, "This old man has slapped your royal alchemist's face." "What's wrong? You don't like it? You asked for it yourself. Damn it, you came to my territory to seek death." Long Fei said fiercely. Zhao Yiqian suddenly said, "Long Fei, do you want to become enemies with the Zhao family?" Long Fei picked his ears and asked, "May I ask who you are? Is it an itch?" Zhao Yiqian immediately shrunk. Kong Dowling said, "Do you know what you have said? I can let you die 1,000 times." Long Fei said, "I don't know, but I know that if you don't get out of here today, I can make sure you die without even leaving anything behind." As soon as Long Fei finished his sentence, Transformers immediately shook, and a low roar came out of his throat. Yuan Shan hurriedly said, "Long Fei, don't act recklessly." Yirong also whispered, "Long Fei, don't be rash." Long Fei didn't care in the slightest, and said, "Scram or not?" Kong Dowling clenched his fists tightly, as though he was biting so hard that his teeth were about to shatter, and was so angry that his entire body was trembling. It looked like a rotten old man who had been sucked dry in a kiln. "Scram! If you don't want to piss off, then I'll do it myself." Long Fei glanced at Transformers and said, "Transformers! Roar!" Transformers immediately roared. Kong Dowling stared at Long Fei and said, "Kid, remember what you said today, what you did in a few days. I will make you pay 100-fold. Cluck, cluck, cluck. Gritting his teeth, his body fell to the ground and rolled on the floor. It rolled out in circles. Long Fei grinned. "I've heard too much about this, but in the end, the results were even worse." Seeing Kong Dowling go far away, Long Fei breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. "System, what kind of aircraft mission would you like to complete?" He took over countless missions. The quest of killing monsters, the quest of killing bosses, the quest of finding items, the quest of killing people. However, Long Fei had never met a mission where someone was forced to scram, and it was really rolling on the ground. Moreover, this quest still did not have any levels, and everything was an unknown quest. However, no matter what kind of quest it was, there would always be rewards. Even if it was just a little bit of experience, it would still be worth it. System, is it really just a little bit of experience? Then I'll really be played to death by you. Long Fei complained in his heart. To ruthlessly humiliate a royal alchemist at this critical juncture was extremely deadly. If he didn't manage to concoct a few thousand pills, the consequences would be unimaginably tragic. Moreover, the Zhao family would definitely not let him off. The system was sending him to hell. Long Fei had no way of resisting. Even though he knew it was a trap, he still had to jump down, because if he could not complete the mission, he would be demoted and punished. What a scam! After Kong Dowling rolled out of the Pill Pavilion's peak, the system very punctually sounded out, "Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for completing the Mystic Unknown quest. F***CK. Long Fei was about to scold angrily. System F***CKU. Come out for your father. Get yourself some experience points to scam your father." Without waiting for Long Fei to finish cursing, the system sounded out once again. "Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining mysterious reward. A mystical, glowing box appeared in the system's space. Open the box. A mysterious reward." Long Fei's heart sank, and his hands shook as he said, "The red oil pirate hand. Open." "Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Peacock King's Egg." Peacock King's Egg. The Peacock King's Egg. A peacock egg appeared in the box. It looked no different from a normal peacock egg. Long Fei also immediately checked the attributes. Item: Peacock King's Egg not hatched. Attribute: unknown grade. Earth class description: unknown. Other than a grade, there was no other description. However, Long Fei looked at its grade and muttered, "The grade of an egg is Earth stage. Then if it hatches, then this guy's level would definitely not be low." The Peacock King. Could it be the Peacock King from the prehistoric era? Perfect. I can leave it for Sister Shall Die. Long Fei already had a plan for the Peacock King egg. At this time, Yuan Shan walked over and asked, "Long Fei, what are you doing?" How could you humiliate him like that? He's the royal alchemist. Yurong also looked at Long Fei strangely. In her heart, even though Long Fei was easily angered and he was extremely arrogant, he would always stay calm and would never do something like that. But now, she could not understand. If he were to offend the royal alchemist at this critical juncture, and he was unable to complete his monthly mission in 4 days, then Zhao Gu would not have any place to set his feet on the ground after being expelled from Xian Yu sect. One had to know that Kong Dowling had come to the Xian Yu sect to represent Zhao Gu this time. His identity was not as simple as the royal alchemist. Long Fei felt a pang of unease, but since he had done it, he did not regret it. Moreover, he had obtained the Peacock King's egg, so he smiled and looked at Yuan Shan. Elder Yu, I'm asking you a question of satisfaction? Huh. Yuan Shan froze for a moment, then lowered his voice. Satisfying. These few days, the entire Xian Yu sect had almost been made restless by Kong Dowling. He had long been in a bad mood. After being stuck with Long Fei for such a long time, his heart felt extremely good. Yuan Shan said, "It feels good, but he will definitely not let this go. Furthermore, this time, I feel that the Zhao family has not only sent him an alchemy master. I suspect that there are people in the dark." At this time, Yi Yorong's gaze tensed up. She immediately thought about the war beast regiment that suddenly appeared from the Zhou household in the valley. If there really was someone who managed to get out of the Black Crow group alive, then she would not be able to hide the assassination attempt on the crown prince. Had Zhao Wuji already begun his investigation of Xian Yu sect, Yorong's heart sank. It was also at this time that a voice appeared in Yorong's mind. The space between her eyebrows tightened. She quietly withdrew, wanting to report to the Ming clan elder. This time, with Ming Yu gone, she would definitely take all the responsibility. Long Fei said, "I have to take the initiative. Am I afraid of him?" At this moment, a disciple of the Mystic Moon Hall hurriedly came over and said, "Elder Long, sect master wants you to go to the Great Hall." In addition, the disciple said in a low voice, "The sect master told you to get ready. Kong Dowling is here as well." Long Fei muttered, "Taking revenge so quickly? Or could it be? Isn't the lesson just now enough?" Chapter 2380, Competing with One? Chapter 2380, Competing with One? Let's go. To the Mystic Moon Palace. Long Fei roared out, "I want to see what kind of tricks Royal Alchemist can play." Tell me the truth. Long Fei was not afraid of Kong Dowling at all. Royal Alchemist? Bullshit. In front of his powerful alchemy techniques, he could belittle all the alchemy masters on the Zhanwu continent. So what if he had the power of the Emperor? He didn't care at all. Long Fei shouted, but not many people responded. Only the thin monkey, the big-size man, and Xiao Dai were there. The elders from the alchemy courtyard all looked at Long Fei with resentful eyes. They had humiliated their godlike idol, Kong Dowling. The hatred they had for Long Fei grew even more. Long Fei didn't mind at all. Looking at those resentful gazes, he smiled faintly and said, "You don't like me, right? If you're not satisfied, then defeat me. If you can't beat me, then calm down. This is my territory. Understand?" Long Fei was filled with disdain. Inwardly, he thought to himself, "I hope the provocation is of some use to you guys." These people's alchemy techniques were too traditional and old-fashioned. The alchemy techniques that hadn't changed for thousands or tens of thousands of years were not meant to change, but instead to improve. Then, Xiao Dai walked over and said, "Along, the sister Yi has disappeared." Long Fei was slightly stunned. He did not manage to find a Yorong within the crowd, and said, "I understand." He had already guessed in his heart that Yurong had gone to report to the elder. Following that, Long Fei said, "Those who want to go to the Mystic Moon Hall to watch a good show, follow me." He walked down the Pill Pavilion's peak with large strides. A wave of curses came from behind him. "There are still 4 more days. Let's see how long you can continue being so arrogant. You really don't know your limits. Now that you have even offended the royal alchemist, let's see how long you can stay arrogant for. Too savage. Just you wait, there are still 4 days left. When it's time to issue out more pills, I'll see what he'll do. I heard that he doesn't even have a single spirit grass on him, and is completely unable to refine pills. With this monthly rule, even if he dies, he wouldn't be able to take out that many spirit pills. I'm just waiting to see him make a fool of himself." Many people were waiting for Long Fei to make a fool of himself. Offending Kong Dowling meant that more and more people wanted to see Long Fei become a joke, and all of them wanted to step on him. Zhao family, royal family. How could he be offended by a kid from the mountains? Profound Moon Great Hall. His old face was flushed red, and he looked extremely miserable. However, his eyes were burning with anger as he said fiercely, "Sect Master Gui, if you don't give me an explanation today, then don't blame me for being impolite." High up in the main hall, Gui Qingshan looked at Kong Dowling's sorry state, seemingly very calm on the surface, but in his heart he was extremely happy and thought to himself, "An old thing that eats the enemy inside. Why didn't you fall to your death?" Others didn't know, but Gui Qingshan was extremely clear in his heart that the Kong Dowling in front of him was the royal alchemist from the imperial court, and a few ministers in the imperial court were directly poisoned to death by his pills. One of them was a 3-year-old prince. Looking at the enemy in front of him, Gui Qingshan's anger simmered. He was afraid that he wouldn't be able to control himself. "Master Gui!" Kong Dowling shouted loudly. Gui Qingshan forcefully suppressed his anger and said calmly, "Elder Kong, how do you want to punish him?" Kong Dowling said, "Very simple. He told me to scram from the Pill Pavilion's summit. Once, I want him to scram 100 times. Gui Qingshan said, He is the great elder of the Pill Pavilion." Kong Dowling shouted, "Then I am also from the Royal Alchemist. I represent the imperial family, and telling me to scram down the Pill Pavilion is not only insulting me, but also insulting the Zhao family. Do you want to become enemies with the Zhao family?" His voice sank. The last sentence was exceptionally powerful, as if a heavy pressure was crushing down on him. While they were talking, Kong Dowling stared deadly at Gui Qingshan. Gui Qingshan was startled and avoided looking at her, although he had changed his appearance now. But if she were to see anything else, the consequences would be unimaginable. Kong Dowling looked at Gui Qingshan and avoided his gaze, thinking that he was afraid. She revealed a proud and cold smile. "I doubt even a small clan leader of a Xianyu sect like you would dare to do that, right?" Gui Qingshan and Yen Xiao said, smilingly, I don't dare. Kong Dowling's eyes turned sinister and shouted fiercely, "If you don't dare, then do as I say." Gui Qingshan squinted. At this moment, a voice came from outside the hall. "What are you doing? Is he going to get out from here again?" Before he finished speaking, Long Fei walked into the hall. He cupped his hands together and said, "Greetings, Sect Master." Gui Qingshan said, "Long Fei, did you get Elder Kong to scram down the Pill Pavilion peak? Do you know his identity as a royal alchemist?" When Kong Dowling saw the anger in Long Fei's eyes grow stronger, he said solemnly, "Little bastard, you finally appeared." Long Fei immediately laughed out loud and said, "I was just joking. I didn't expect you to scram." "Ha ha ha. This is the first time I've seen someone with a brain like yours." "Right. You are the royal alchemist. It can't be. How could a clan like you think highly of you? Did you use some tricks to get out the back door? Don't be angry. I'm talking about taking the back door. Not the back door, but the back door on your ass. You are disrespectful to me. Sorry, I can't stomp you to death. Poochie. The two disciples at the entrance of the great hall could no longer control themselves and started laughing. Smoke rose from the top of Kong Dowling's head as he stared at Long Fei. He wanted to break Long Fei's head and shouted, "How dare you humiliate me like this? Even if Lu Xian comes out today, I will kill you. Kill me." "Wow, I'm so scared." Long Fei pretended to be afraid and said softly, "Transformers, someone wants to kill me." As soon as he finished, boom, outside the hall, Transformers summoned his spirit power and used both hands to thump his chest, releasing waves of brazen roars. Long Fei's mouth hooked up and said, "Kill me? Come on." Seeing Transformers, Kong Dowling became impotent all of a sudden. It was true that he was at the spirit refinement realm. Logically speaking, a 9th-level demon beast should not need to be afraid of a spirit refinement cultivator. But his realm of spirit refinement was the path of alchemy. In terms of value, there was a huge difference in realm of spirit refinement between his and the martial arts training. What he was good at was alchemy. Kong Dowling's gaze turned as he looked at Gui Qingshan and shouted, "Sect Master Ge, is this how your Xianyu sect treats its guests?" Gui Qingshan said, "Elder Kong, this great elder of our Xianyu sect's pill house is a little unruly. Please do not take him to heart. Go back first. I will properly discipline him." "No way," Kong Dowling shouted. "If you don't punish him today, I will immediately report to the Divine Kingdom and have His Majesty send out the army. At that time, I will see if a little Xianyu sect like you can take it or not." He would use the Zhao family to suppress them. Gui Qingshan looked at Long Fei. Long Fei smiled faintly and said, "A match." Chapter 2381, Unrestricted Competition. Chapter 2381. Unrestricted competition. If you can make a move, then don't make a move. Let's compete. Long Fei said directly. Kong Dowling looked at Long Fei and asked, "What do you want to compete in?" Long Fei said, "Of course, it's something good at fighting. Could it be that I am going to go through the back door with you? The back door is so loose. I definitely can't compete with you." Cluck, cluck. Kong Dowling clenched his teeth and shouted, "Since you are the great clan elder of the Pill Pavilion, then I will compete in alchemy with you." Long Fei said, "Sure, whatever you're good at is fine. I'm fine with anything." Very arrogant, Kong Dowling revealed a cold and scornful smile and said, "Since it's a competition, then we should have a wager." Long Fei said, "What do you want to bet?" Kong Dowling said, "I'm betting your life." "Another life wager?" Long Fei shook his head and laughed. "You love to gamble your life that much? Is life not worth it?" Kong Dowling said in disdain, "Why not?" Long Fei looked at the system, but the system did not issue any more missions and said, "I will not take your life. How about this? If you lose, you will scram from here all the way down to the Xianyu sect." Wasn't this a life wager? This was his life. Kong Dowling huffed. "Good. However, brat, prepare the coffin." "What am I going to do with the coffin?" "For you?" Long Fei retorted. Kong Dowling laughed in disdain, feeling extremely proud in his heart. "You want to compete in alchemy with me? I will let you know who the real #1 alchemy master is." And then Kong Dowling turned to Gui Qingshan and said, "Sect Master Gui, I want to compete in alchemy with him in front of all the disciples of the Xianyu sect." He wanted to trample Long Fei to death in front of everyone. He wanted to use the alchemy technique to ruthlessly humiliate Long Fei. "We have to let him know who the real royal alchemist is." Gui Qingshan hesitated for a moment, looked at Long Fei, and said, Elder Kong, it's just a simple competition. I don't think there's a need to be so grand, right? And it's not good to gamble with your life. It doesn't matter who wins or loses. You will be hurt. When Gue Qingshan was speaking, he had been looking at Long Fei the entire time. The idea moved and said, Boy, Kong Dowling's alchemy technique is not something Yi Changfeng can compare to. Early in the dynasty, Kong Dowling's alchemy technique had already reached the peak of the 9th stage. This was also the reason why. That was why the Zhao family valued him. It had been more than 10 years, but what realm had his current alchemy technique reached? It was hard to imagine. Within Zhaoguo's territory, there might not be anyone from any of the large sects that could defeat him. Long Fei answered, Just because no one wins doesn't mean that I can't win. This person is like a fly flying around in front of me, extremely annoying. Gue Qingshan trembled slightly. Kong Dowling shouted, Sect Master Gue, quickly issue an order. Let the entire sect know about this competition. I want to let him know what alchemy is. Kong Dowling said in disdain. He was extremely confident in his alchemy. With his current attainments in alchemy, other than a few old monsters that could not be found, no one else in Zhaoguo's world had been able to defeat him. Gue Qingshan looked at Long Fei. Long Fei nodded. Gue Qingshan said, Pass my order. Great Elder of the Pill Pavilion is competing with Royal Alchemist Kong Dowling in the Profound Moon Plaza. Kong Dowling added, Alchemy Gamble. And then Kong Dowling strode out of the Profound Moon Hall, walked to Long Fei's side, and sneered sinisterly and said, Brat, just prepare to die. I'll wait for you on the plaza in an hour. Long Fei said, What's the competition for alchemy? Kong Dowling said, There are no restrictions. The spirit grass will prepare its own. The pill furnace will prepare its own. Let's see whose pill grade is the best. Finished. Kong Dowling left in large strides, and he was even leaving while laughing maniacally. Ha ha ha. Gue Qingshan hurriedly walked down and said, Have you thought about it yet? He is the Royal Alchemist and is already a level 9 alchemy master over 10 years ago. Right now, he is probably at least an Earth rank alchemy master. Gue Qingshan knew that Long Fei had very high attainments in alchemy. However, after all, the other party was Kong Dowling, the #1 alchemy master. It only took a few days to subdue all of the elders in the Pill Pavilion. Long Fei replied, It should be fine. What do you mean by should? Gue Qingshan said worriedly, You are someone who will be participating in the Gods Sect gathering. If you lose this time, Kong Dowling would definitely not let you off so easily. There's more. How are your preparations for the monthly elixir pills 4 days from now? This was something else that Gue Qingshan was worried about. Long Fei's personality was too unrestrained and arrogant, causing a lot of people to be unhappy, especially the people from the Pill Pavilion. As long as Long Fei is not able to take out enough spirit pills, I am afraid, even if it was him, he wouldn't be able to protect Long Fei. Long Fei scratched his head and said, Not yet. No, you. Gue Qingshan's brows tightened and said, You, Long Fei, you are now Pill Pavilion's great elder, sect master. He wants you to shoulder the responsibility of Xian Yu sect. You can't be such a slob, and don't act too arrogantly in front of others. If you overshine us like this, we'll get into trouble. The edge of the blade was too sharp. Arrogant. This caused many people in the sect to feel unhappy. If something bad happened, it would result in the wall being pushed down by everyone. Not only that, the Zhao and Zhou families were all staring at the Xianyu sect. If Long Fei continued to be so arrogant, it would bring about more trouble. I see. Gue Qingshan didn't wait for Long Fei to speak and said, I'll apologize to Kong Dowling on your behalf. I'll give you a delay of half a month's time to distribute the monthly rule, and with your speed of alchemy, you should be able to complete the monthly rule mission. Gui Qingshan and Kong Dowling had a deep grudge, but for Long Fei's sake, he could only endure the anger in his heart. Long Fei's talent was extremely high. He did not want Long Fei to die young. Long Fei wanted to refuse. Gui Qingshan immediately said, "It's a deal then." Gui Qingshan immediately gave chase. Long Fei looked at Gui Qingshan, exhaled deeply, and said, "Uncle Gui, he won't agree." "Forget it. I'll go prepare first." Was just worrying about not having the chance to trample him to death, let alone Gui Qingshan begging him for mercy. Even if Yi Lucian managed to come out of seclusion, he might not necessarily agree. However, unlimited alchemy. In other words, there were no limitations. Spirit grass could be a low-level spirit grass or a divine-level spirit grass, and their pill furnaces could be iron pots or divine-level pill furnaces. Kong Dowling, Royal Alchemist. The level of alchemy spirit grass he uses is definitely not low. In terms of spirit grasses, he had the absolute advantage. Moreover, Long Fei currently did not even have a single spirit grass. First, think of a way to get into the Pill Pavilion. Pill Pavilion Peak. Spirit Grass Academy. Spirit Grass. No, not even one. Great Clan Elder, aren't you capable? Aren't you invincible in alchemy? Didn't you use grass to use your alchemy? What spirit grass do you want? You want the spirit grass. Humph. In the next life. Chapter 2382. Goodbye, Long Fei. Chapter 2382. Goodbye, Long Fei. Long Fei was kicked out of the courtyard without even going in through the main entrance of the spirit grasses. Moreover, all the elders of the Pill Pavilion were present, guarding the main gate of the Spirit Grass Academy with all their might. They would definitely not help Long Fei. He wanted to make Long Fei make a fool of himself. What do you mean by that? Could it be that the great clan elder of the Pill Pavilion does not even have the right to use the spirit grass? Thin Monkey said indignantly. The big bloke said indignantly, "Do you really want our boss to lose that much?" The leading elder said, "It's not that we want him to lose. It's that we want him to lose. We can't wait for him to lose. It's just that he's so conceited. What qualifications do you have to poop and pee on our heads? We'll talk about it later. He's the one who stirred up the trouble. Why should we bear the blame together?" Exactly. No spirit grasses. If you're capable, why don't you use your weeds alchemy again? Arrogant in front of us. Have we come across a hard rock? If you have the guts, go and win against Royal Alchemist. Other than the big-sized man, Thin Monkey, and Xiao Dai, no one else stood on Long Fei's side. Long Fei slightly smiled. He did not have any intention, and said, "If there's no spirit grass, then there's no spirit grass. Let's go." Xiao Dai said, "Along, if you do not have a high-level spirit grass, how can you compete with that Royal Alchemy Master? He's the Royal Alchemist. The spirit grass he uses must definitely be of a very high level. If you don't have a high-level spirit grass, you will have lost half." Xiao Dai walked forward, looked at the elders of the Pill Pavilion, and said, "Uncles, we are all members of the Xianyu sect. We cannot just watch him lose, right? Why don't you just help him?" Just as Xiao Dai had said, without a high-level spirit
said
grass,
angrily,
Long Fei
"What are you talking
would lose
about?
by
They
half.
obviously have spirit
Anyone
grass
who
in their
understood
hands,
the
but they don't
slightest
take it
bit of
out.
alchemy
It's too much
would
of a
know
bully."
this point. The
To
big boss
refine
said,
a high-level
"We won't give
palate,
it to you.
a
Let's go
high-level
spirit
snatch it."
grass was the key."
When the Thin
The
Monkey
few
heard
elders
this,
looked at
he
each other in
immediately
dismay.
shouted,
Several
"Snatch."
young elders replied.
Long Fei said,
"If there is nothing,
"Don't cause any
there
more
is
trouble."
nothing." Thin
Even
Monkey
if he
said,
kneels down and
"Boss,
begs us,
only
there
half an
is
hour is left
nothing."
before an hour has
Thin
passed."
Monkey was annoyed.
"You don't even have a single spirit
Who do you think you are,
grass yet.
please? How can
Why
we
don't you all
compare?"
take a look at yourselves?"
Xiao Dai slightly said,
"Let's go." I hope that my father
can
persuade the people from the Pill Pavilion to cancel the competition. But he was not angry,
Master Gui,
and did not
it's
feel
useless
any
even if you kneel
resentment
down
in his heart
and kowtow.
Maybe it was just as
He was the one who proposed
had said.
this duel.
He was being too
Even if I don't
flamboyant,
want my old
being
life,
too
I
arrogant,
want to beat
made
him.
many people want to embarrass
Kong
themselves.
Dowling,
Have
since
never
everyone
been
wanted to see
humiliated
him
like this in
embarrassed.
my entire life.
That, if I
How
don't
could
teach him a
Long
lesson
Fei
today,
let them do as they
Kong
pleased?
Dowling
Arrogant
will write
was
those words
his personality.
backwards.
He
Kong
walked
Dowling
back to the
said
alchemy
fiercely,
courtyard. He definitely wouldn't cancel the duel. Moreover, he would even use the best spirit grass he had and the highest level alchemy furnace to compete with Long Fei, and he would use all means available to crush him. He wanted Long Fei's life. Gue Qingshan said, "Elder Kong, is there really no leeway?" Kong Dowling said, "No, just tell him to prepare the coffin for himself." Xianyu's sect. In the Mystic Moon Plaza, disciples entered through various entrances. Compete with Royal Alchemist in alchemy? Is he crazy? He really doesn't know his place. Who does he think he is? He's trying to make us, Xianyu's sect, lose face. I don't know what he thinks. He's simply courting death. The number of disciples in the plaza increased. The entire sect was talking about the competition between Long Fei and Kong Dowling. In another place, Yi Yurong knelt on the ground with a painful look on his face. There were several bloody marks on his arm. Obviously, he had been whipped by some kind of whip. Just a moment ago, she had heard the discussions of a few disciples nearby. Not only did you fail the mission, you even lost the Ming clan's sacred artifact. Yurong, do you know your fault? One of them was wearing a cloak, and his voice sounded like a devil. Yurong said, "This disciple knows his wrongs. This disciple will definitely try his best to find the divine object. Elder, can you give me a land flower?" Land flower, immortal stage spirit grass. It was a spirit grass that was specially used by the Ming clan to refine earth spirit pills. This kind of spirit grass was extremely rare. This kind of spirit grass was extremely powerful. If Long Fei could get it, he could definitely beat Kong Dowling. The Ming clan elder's eyes turned sinister as he stared at Yurong. "Even now, you're still thinking about that brat, and I've already told you again and again, that brat doesn't have any blood vein-s, and he doesn't have any talent. He's not worthy of you, and he has no future for you. Moreover, have you forgotten your own vow? Have you forgotten your mission?" Yurong hurriedly said. This disciple did not forget. Ming clan cannot rise to prominence, and this disciple will not marry for life. Disciple owes him a favor. I just want to use the land flower to repay his kindness. From now on, I no longer have anything to do with him. The Ming clan elder was silent for a moment, then looked at Yurong and asked, "Are you speaking the truth?" Yurong nodded heavily and said, "This disciple will definitely not dare to deceive elders and masters." He looked at a dark cave. Half a minute later, a land flower was lifted out of the cave by a powerful force. And then, "Yurong," said the voice from the cave, "it's not that Master is blaming you. It's that we cannot tolerate the love between our children on the road to the rise of Ming clan. Especially you, your fate has been decided since the moment you were born." Yurong held back her tears and replied, "This disciple understands." The voice from the cave resounded again and said, "Take the land flower, and from now on do not have any relation with him. I will think of a way to cure the injuries on your body." Yurong received the land flower and said, "Thank you, Master." And then Yurong turned around. Tears rolled down his face. It was like the rain. "A land flower. Sister, is this an immortal stage spirit grass land flower?" Xiaodai exclaimed. Yurong's expression did not change at all, and she said indifferently, "With this land flower, you should be able to beat him, right?" Long Fei looked at Yurong, feeling that she was a little strange. Yurong said, I'm about to close up. God's sect gathering probably won't be coming out again until now. You have to take care of yourself. Long Fei was startled for a moment and said, Your injuries? Yurong said, I have my own ways. All right. I'm leaving. You all must work hard to cultivate. I'm leaving. You all must work hard to cultivate. Yurong laughed lightly, looked at Long Fei, and said quietly in his heart, Goodbye, Long Fei. Chapter 23:83. You lose. Chapter 23:83. You lose, he's here. Zhao Yiqian's eyes lit up and revealed an excited smile. Elder Kong, this match. Without waiting for Zhao Yiqian to finish speaking, Kong Dowling immediately declared, Your Highness, don't worry, I will definitely make him lose face, and also make the Xian Yu sect lose face. Not only must he avenge Zhao Yiqian, he must also avenge the humiliation he had suffered. All right, Zhao Yiqian said excitedly. However, Elder Kong, this brat is a little strange. He is only trained in the alchemy technique for over a month. Don't let your guard down. I heard that you have a top-grade immortal stage spirit grass. Use it to refine a spirit pellet today. Kong Dowling trembled slightly. Only he knew that he had the immortal stage S and spirit grass, but Kong Dowling immediately replied, Your Highness, don't worry. If you can't beat him, I'll bring my head up to meet him. Zhao Yiqian said, I don't want your head. I want you to use a top-quality immortal stage spirit grass to defeat him. What I want is his life. You understand? His voice was filled with a threatening tone. Long Fei was a thorn in his flesh, and now that there was someone by his side, he definitely had to make Long Fei die. Kong Dowling clenched his teeth and said, All right. Long Fei walked into the profound Moon Plaza, saw the scene before him, and also saw Zhao Yiqian and Kong Dowling in the distance. He said slightly, Seems like Uncle Gui did not succeed in persuading him. Xiao Dai said, My father is serious. If we can't even settle such a small matter, then he is the sect master of the Xian Yu sect. Long Fei said, I can't blame Uncle Gui. This matter is clearly directed at me. Moreover, in the Zhao family's eyes, Xian Yu sect is nothing. The thin monkey said, So what if you have a mere royal alchemist with the land flower that young sect master gave you and boss's alchemy technique? Speaking of land flower, Long Fei's heart tightened again. He kept having the feeling that Yurong was hiding something from him. After the competition, I'll go find her, and at the very least, thank her. Long Fei thought. Long Fei and the others walked into the plaza. Everyone uniformly looked at Long Fei, their eyes filled with the laughter of schadenfreude. Let's see if he can continue being so lively today. Comparing alchemy with royal alchemist, you're courting death. I heard that as long as Royal Alchemist can win against Long Fei, he can take over Long Fei's position and become the great clan elder of the Pill Pavilion. Is that true? Of course it's true. My eldest cousin is in the Pill Pavilion, and that lord from the royal family said so himself. If I can consume the pills refined by the Royal Alchemist, then that would be too good. It would be enough for me to boast for the rest of my life. Long Fei, get out of Xian Yu sect. Suddenly, a voice rang out. Next. Many people agreed. Long Fei, get out of Xian Yu sect. Get out. You are not welcome here. Get out. Many disciples of the Mystic Moon Plaza angrily shouted. All of them stared at Long Fei aggressively, wishing that they could pounce on him. Long Fei turned a blind eye. He did not care about the surrounding voices. He was not living for others. However, Long Fei's patience had a limit. One of the disciples suddenly rushed out, pointed at Long Fei's nose and cursed, Long Fei, get the hell out of here. Not waiting for him to finish, Long Fei slapped him across the face and shouted angrily, You actually dare to call out the great elder's name. You're courting death. Pa! The disciple collapsed to the ground, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. Without waiting for him to get up, Long Fei kicked him hard. Bam! He was sent flying with a kick. Long Fei swept his eyes across them and said solemnly, "There's still that itchy one. Come out, I'll clean this up quickly." A savage look appeared in his eyes. The surrounding people were shocked by his aura. Gui Qingshan stood up immediately and said, "All of you quiet down." Buzz. The aura on his body stirred. The scene was instantly wiped out. Gui Qingshan looked at Long Fei, his brows secretly furrowed, and his gaze shifted towards Kong Dowling as he said, "Elder Kong, you are the royal alchemist, and there is no other alchemy master who is your match within the whole of Zhao Guo's territory. How about he apologize, admit his wrongs, and forget about this matter?" Kong Dowling immediately said, "No, I said it before. I will repay the humiliation he gave me tenfold or even 100-fold. Long Fei also said, "What *T royal alchemist? What the hell is this? Give him an apology? It doesn't exist." Kong Dowling sneered. "You dog, you are courting death." Long Fei said, "We don't even know who is courting death. Stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and start. I still have things to do." Long Fei didn't want to waste time. He wanted to find her before Yurong had gone into closed-door cultivation. Kong Dowling said, "I'll explain the rules of the limitless alchemy to you first. Don't not admit your loss when the time comes. Firstly, spirit grasses that are not restricted in their usage. Second, there is no restriction on the use of pill furnaces. Third, Long Fei was too lazy to explain. His right hand moved. Buzz. The true qi churned and then automatically burned. Disciple of Powder Pavilion was startled. It's this kind of alchemy technique again. There's no need for a pill furnace. At this moment, boom. The flames on Long Fei's right palm became even hotter. With him at the center, no one within 3 meters could approach him, because it was simply too hot. Buzz. When the land flower appeared, Long Fei controlled his mind and released the alchemy technique. And at the same time, he also released the super strong alchemy technique. When the heavens and the earth were the furnace, it was naturally the fire. Intent, spiritual movement. Boom, boom, boom. Powerful energy unceasingly surged and compressed on his right hand. It was frantically being absorbed and released once again. It looked dazzling. Compared to half a month ago, Long Fei's alchemy technique was even more profound. Currently, the elders of the Pill Pavilion could not understand at all. It was too valiant. The one in his hands is the land flower. The land flower in teleportation. That's the immortal stage spirit grass. Can he control the release of the land flower's spirit liquid? Impossible, right? The immortal stage's spirit grass can only be controlled by an earth rank alchemy master. Can he control it? Indeed. The higher the level of spirit grass, the stronger the alchemy realm was required. When Long Fei took out the land flower, many people were stunned, especially the elders and disciples of the Pill Pavilion. Kong Dowling also narrowed his eyes and laughed coldly. "You can call it alchemy just like that? Refining dog poop is more like it." Rumble! An explosion sounded in the air. Long Fei's eyes turned sinister, and his entire body started to tremble uncontrollably. The power on his palms started to surge crazily, and the true qi flame started to devour him, entering his land flower-s. The spirit liquid began to be released. This speed was extremely fast. In just 3 seconds, Long Fei suddenly shouted, "Done!" on his palm. The spirit liquid was like glue as it slowly condensed together. It was also at this time. Long Fei shouted loudly, "Transformers!" Roar! Once the Transformers was summoned, Long Fei said, "Watch him closely. If he dares to not accept the debt, directly eliminate him." Finished. Long Fei then walked away. Kong Dowling's eyes turned sinister, and he immediately shouted, "So what if the furnace explodes? What can your little Xian, you sect, do to me? Don't forget, I am a royal alchemist. Let alone you, my Xian Yu sect, even the #1 sect of Zhao Gu wouldn't dare to touch a single hair on my head." Gu Qingshan laughed. "I am only reminding you, your furnace exploded, so you lost." Kong Dowling's eyes turned sinister and became angry from embarrassment. "What did you lose? How could that kid defeat me? Even if I explode, what about him? What kind of pill can he forge? Heaven Stage. Bullshit, he can refine Heaven Stage pellets with just a spirit grass." "Who would believe it?" Kong Dowling said fiercely. Gu Qingshan laughed. "Right now, even if the pellet that he has refined is a grade 1 pellet, it would still be of a higher grade than the pellet that you have refined. So you still lost." He did not care what kind of heaven-ranked spirit pill Long Fei refined, or if it was a grade 1 spirit pill. If Kong Dowling blew up the furnace, then he would lose, and the thing that he could not refute was the truth. Kong Dowling was speechless. Looking at the pill on the great Long Fei's table, he leaped. Boom! It directly landed in front of Long Fei's pill platform, grabbed hold of the idea S, which Long Fei had refined, and said with disdain, "I want to see what kind of bullsh asterisk T is your so-called heaven rank pellet." Before he could finish his words, his expression froze. His entire body seemed to have been struck by lightning as he stood on the spot, motionless and lifeless. This is impossible. He cannot concoct a heaven-step spirit pill. Absolutely impossible. As soon as he finished, the entire audience was in an uproar. It was also at this time a heavy breathing sounded out from behind Kong Dowling. The Transformers was staring straight at him. This won't do either, because he did not even bother to dodge Long Fei's attack. It was tough. Moreover, no matter how hard he tried to hit Long Fei, it seemed as if Long Fei would not be injured at all. "And what kind of talent are you? And what kind of blood vein are you? Who do you think you are?" Long Fei scolded back heavily. He directly smashed the old man onto the rock wall and pressed him down with his elbow. His eyes were burning with rage as he said, "You dare to crush your father? You think you're worthy?" Yi Zichen retracted his gaze. And then Long Fei's fist once again struck out like a violent storm. Without even giving the black-robed old man a chance to catch his breath, he knew very well that if the black-robed old man had another chance to do so, he would be the one to lose. Bang, 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 bang. The originally powerful old man could only passively defend. Moreover, his face was pale, and his internal organs were all shifting in place. All of them were in great pain. The stench of blood assaulted his throat, and he was unable to hold it in any longer. A mouthful of blood sprayed out. Long Fei bellowed, "You say I am not worthy? You don't even have the right to say that I'm your father." Boom! Another punch. Blood spurted out of the old man's mouth as his body slid down the wall, looking extremely miserable. Long Fei stared at him and said coldly, "Keep F*** King acting arrogantly for your father." Before he could finish, within the cave, a deep voice rang out, "Enough! Wang Long!" The entire forbidden ground was trembling. Yurong also instantly knelt on the ground, looked at Long Fei, and said, "Hurry and go." Long Fei recovered his expression and said with a smile, "I found a way to cure the poison." Yurong shook his head and said, "Long Fei, I'm begging you." Long Fei was startled. Yurong immediately started crying. "If you don't leave, you will die." Chapter 2386. Chapter 2386. If you don't leave now, you will die. Yurong cried her heart out and said loudly, because she knew her master's personality very well. Anyone who obstructed the rise of the Ming clan would not be forgiven. Killing, no matter who it was, no matter what relationship Yurong had, as long as they obstructed her plans, she would make this person disappear from the world. When Long Fei saw Yurong crying her heart out and her tears, Long Fei felt as if his heart had been pierced by hundreds of needles. It was very painful, the pain of being unable to breathe. Long Fei said gently, "There is no one in this world who can force you to do something you don't want to do. As long as you nod your head, I will bring you away immediately." Humph! Just as Long Fei finished speaking, a snort came out from the cave. "What a good! I'll take you away immediately." In that instant, buzz! There was a muffled sound in the cave, and in the next second, holding the Buddhist dust in one hand and wearing a black robe on his body, a massive netherworld aura gushed forth like a raging river. A step landed in front of Long Fei. It was also at this moment. Bam! The netherworld spiritual aura pounced like a wild beast. Long Fei's body instantly shot outwards, and the netherworld aura was like a nail, pinning Long Fei's body onto the stone wall as his entire body floated in the air. "Is this the strength you brought her away with you?" The old lady stared at Long Fei. Too strong. Long Fei had never encountered such a powerful force. The time at the arrogant god energy value continued, but, however, he didn't have any time to react, and was immediately bound. His heart was shocked. Long Fei stared at the old lady and said, "You are Rong's master?" Yurong also started to panic as he anxiously kneeled forward and said, "Master, I will listen to you, and from today onwards, I will never meet him again. I beg you, please let him go. I swear to God." Yurong's voice trembled slightly, because she knew that master would really kill Long Fei. The old woman said coldly, "The best way to never meet again is to disappear from this world." Buzz! His aura turned sinister as the power of Nether surged. It condensed into a pitch-black spear. The spear shone with a cold light. It floated in front of the old lady. As long as she used a little more strength, the spear would be able to pierce through Long Fei's head. When Yurong saw the black pike, he became even more flustered and said, "Master, I beg you, let him go. I will definitely do more than that. I swear to God, I will never meet him again. I beg you." Long Fei clenched his fists tightly. "Sky Sword, what happened to you today? How come he doesn't have any power at all?" Long Fei was unhappy, very unhappy. Even if it was her master, Long Fei would still not be happy for his woman kneeling to others. The spear was just half a centimeter away from Long Fei's forehead, and the sinister cold chi seemed to have entered Long Fei's mind as the temperature of Long Fei's entire body continued to drop. The old lady put away the idea S, and the black spear instantly disappeared as she revealed a satisfied smile and said, "You roam. Zhao Haotian has already been crippled and can't do anything to you. Furthermore, you entered the Zhao family to cultivate the Emperor's Qi, which can allow you to break through even faster. As for the wounds on your body, don't worry. Even if I can't treat them, I will help you cover them up, as long as it's not Zhao Chongshan. Zhao Wuji will not be able to discover them." Long Fei looked at Yurong and said, "Yurong, no." Yurong did not look at Long Fei and said, "Thank you, Master." "Master, can you let him go now?" The old lady looked at Long Fei coldly, and the idea moved. The binding power of the netherworld Adumbra flower vanished as Long Fei fell from midair. In that instant, Long Fei held onto the sky sword and rushed towards the old lady, roaring in his heart, "Sky Sword, I need strength, I need strength." Without waiting for Long Fei to get close, The old granny rolled up her sleeves and directly swept Long Fei away. Bam! Smashing into the rock wall, Long Fei spat out a mouthful of blood. Long Fei rushed out once again. Fairy from heaven! Shwa! The sword moved and leaped into the air. But they could not allow Long Fei to fall. Boom! Another powerful power of nether knocked Long Fei flying. Forbidden, profound mysteries. Shwa! Long Fei's figure disappeared and was directly locked onto the old lady. However, without waiting for Long Fei's attack to come out, the moment they got close, they were sent flying by the strong power of nether on the old lady's body, and once again collided against the wall. Uffed! Another mouthful of blood sprayed out. Humph! Trash will always be trash. That's all you can do in this life. Understand? The old woman disdainfully sneered. She had never thought that she would marry someone for strength, marry someone to break through, or marry a eunuch whose lifeblood had been destroyed. Her heart ached. However, at this moment, he was already numb to it. The moment she agreed to it, her heart had died. Not only did she close the door to Long Fei's life, she also closed it to anyone. Half a moment, Yorong's figure disappeared into the cave. The old lady coldly looked at Long Fei and said with a sneer, "You are just an ordinary mortal. A mortal should do what a mortal should. You roam, and you are destined to be people from different worlds. Boy, wake up. In a few months, she will be the crown prince's consort. She will cultivate the imperial qi of the Zhao family and quickly break through, displaying the power of the gifted soul of Underworld. And you, It was just a small sex pill pavilion elder, but it seemed like the day of the sex monthly rules was in a few days. You don't even have a single pill on you, and your position as an elder of the pill pavilion has come to an end. Ha ha ha. The old woman loudly laughed. Boy, this is fate. Do you know? Some people are destined to never be able to get up, and you are one of them. Ha ha ha. The old woman laughed as she disappeared into the cave. At this moment, Long Fei was very angry. He was incomparably furious, but his heart was calmer than ever, incomparably calm. He looked in the direction the old lady disappeared to. I swear, I'll definitely kill you, Long Fei said solemnly. The black robe man who had been violently beaten by Long Fei stood up and said coldly, She is the Emperor Zhenwu's realm. You want to defeat her? You'd better wake up. And if you can't give out monthly pills in a few days, you won't even be able to stay in the Xianyu sect. Do you want to surpass a High Lord, Emperor Zhenwu's realm, the strongest existence in the Zhenwu continent? Black Robe Man glanced at Long Fei, and then he walked away. Long Fei was the only one left in the Forbidden Grounds. The true martial emperor, right? Long Fei's eyes turned sinister as he said, I will also do the same. You're wrong. Wait for me. No one can make you do something you don't like. Long Fei said solemnly, because you are my woman. The yellow exclamation mark above his head had not yet been activated. He believed that Yurong definitely had a mission on him, and also it might even be one of his 7 merits missions. Boss. Long Fei. Boss. A few shouts came from outside the forbidden area. Long Fei recovered his composure and walked out. After Long Fei left the Forbidden Grounds, not long later, the system suddenly beeped. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Kong Dowling for gaining 1 million experience, 10,000 true chi points, 5 arrogant god energy value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the spirit grass. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining this elixir. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining secret technique. Mysterious pill technique. Do you wish to cultivate it? How strange. Could it be that this royal alchemist got lost by himself? It can't be. No matter what, he is still at the spirit refinement realm. So wouldn't he die if he were to scram a few times? Long Fei felt that it was strange. However, without much thought, he walked into the forbidden area with large strides. In another place, on a barren hillside, General, the traitor Kong Dowling has been eliminated, Miao Chong said excitedly. Back then, one of the imperial family suffered a few deaths from his poison. Today, we can finally take revenge. Gue Qingshan nodded his head and said, after so many years, it can be considered as doing something that is worthy of the Wei family's ancestors. But Gue Qingshan frowned and said, this matter will probably make Long Fei's situation even more difficult. The Zhao family will definitely target him. And this time, Kong Dowling is not the only one. This was what Gue Qingshan was worried about. Killing Kong Dowling was indeed a satisfying thing, but Long Fei would find it even more difficult, and this was what Gue Qingshan did not want to see. Miao Chong also tightened the center of his brows and said, if I had known this would happen, I would have endured it a little longer. This Long Fei brat is really incredible. In just half a month's time, he broke through from the qi refining stage to the essence condensation stage, and is even at the 5th stage of the essence condensation realm. Too strong. Give him some more time. He's about to ascend to heaven. Gue Qingshan said slightly, so we can't let anything happen to him. Miao Chong immediately nodded. General, don't worry, I will arrange for someone to protect him. You keep it for yourself. He was not stupid. He could tell that the golden holy body was good stuff, so he naturally couldn't take it. Long Fei said, I told you to take it, so take it. You have to do it for me, God's sect gathering. You have to give me a huge boost, understand? Air. The big guy scratched his head and said, innocently, me for sure. Long Fei looked at Thin Monkey again and said, this is yours. Long Fei took out the black spirit holy body again and said, you two, you three are all the same. Must let those people have a good look at your might. And I might need your help when the time comes. The old lady had said that Yurong would be married to Zhao Haotian in a few months. If Long Fei's guess was not wrong, it would be on God's sect gathering. He had to be prepared. He absolutely could not allow his woman to marry a eunuch. The three of them nodded and said, yes. After all, Xiao Dai was very sensitive and could not help but ask, Along, are you going to leave? Is there something you're hiding from us? Long Fei said, there's nothing much, just cultivate properly for me. If you can't reach my expectations in God's sect gathering, then I won't forgive you. With these things, even a fool could take off. 2 deities' saints, a peacock king egg plus a heaven stage pill. It was hard not to take off. All right, all of you should go train in seclusion. Long Fei urged. As they spoke, they pushed the three of them out. Xiao Dai and the other two were extremely excited. All of these treasures made them wish that they could immediately cultivate and all of a sudden forget about the monthly pellets. After they left, a disciple of Powder Pavilion walked into the alchemy courtyard and respectfully said, Great Clan Elder, the 9 elders of the Pill Pavilion requests an audience. Long Fei was startled, then laughed, requesting an audience? It's not like them, disciple of Powder Pavilion said. Great Clan Elder, you did not see the shocked looks on your face when you finished refining the heaven stage pellet. Your mouth was so wide that it could fit a duck's egg. They are prostrating themselves before you now, so they won't dare to underestimate you anymore. A heaven step spirit pill, other than the holy ply, it was a supreme existence. In the whole of Zhaoguo's territory, there was not a single alchemy master who was able to refine a heaven stage pellet. How could he not worship them? Long Fei thought for a moment, then said, "Let them wait outside the courtyard." Disciple of Powder Pavilion said, "They seem to be in a hurry," and furthermore, the second clan elder said that he had already refined a batch of monthly pellets as a precaution and brought a lot of spirit grasses. Great clan elder, what do you think? Long Fei said, "Let them wait." Disciple of Powder Pavilion did not dare to say more, and immediately said, "Disciple will do as you say." He immediately ran out. Chapter 2389, Entering the Wilderness. Chapter 2389. Entering the wilderness the fourth day was also the day that the monthly pills were distributed. However, on this day, Long Fei left without a sound. At the window where the monthly elixirs were distributed, there was a sea of people waiting, whether it was the disciples of the Xianyu sect or the elders. Many people wanted to see Long Fei become a joke. However, when they received their monthly pills, they were all shocked. Grade 8 spirit pellet. Oh my God, am I dreaming? I actually received a tier 8 spirit building pill. One must know that the best spirit building pill in the past was only a tier 3, but now it was a tier 8. Quick, hold me, I can't take it anymore. What is mine is a grade 9 spirit Dan. What's going on? What's the situation? Has the pill pavilion released the bottom line? Who refined this pill? Does the pill pavilion have such a powerful alchemy master? A lot of people were screaming because they did not have much hope in the beginning, as they knew that even if Long Fei had alchemy, he would not be able to concoct that many pills. However, now, not only were there plenty of pills, he would even give one more than usual. Furthermore, the quality of the pills was terrifyingly high. It made them feel like they were dreaming. Suddenly, one of the elders looked excited as his eyes flashed. Earth, tier spiritual pill. This is the first time in my life that I've taken an earth tier spiritual pill. Tears streamed down his face as he spoke. He was so excited that tears were flowing out of his eyes. It was also at this time that elder walked up to him and asked, "Who refined this spirit pellet? I want to thank him, and I want to thank him personally." An elder from the pill pavilion revealed a smile. He was very proud and pleased with himself. His arrogance wasn't that of a superior cultivator, but that of a person from the pill pavilion peak. He loudly said, "All of the pills today were personally concocted by our great elder. All of the disciples are grade 8 spirit dawn. All of the elders are earth grade ones." As soon as he finished, the entire audience was stunned. The great elder of the pill pavilion? Who is it? Is that so? Who is the great elder of the pill pavilion? Didn't he Changfeng die? Could it be? It can't be? Is it that brat? The pill pavilion's elder shouted again. "Your guess is right. It's great clan elder Long Fei. These pills were all refined by him." The entire venue quieted down. Many people began to lower their heads. They felt very ashamed. Many of them came to see Long Fei as a joke, but Long Fei was using such a method to repay them. How could they not be ashamed? We, sigh. We were once against great clan elder Long Fei, but now he is treating us with such kindness. From today onwards, whoever says anything bad about great clan elder Long Fei will be killed by him. I'll fight him too. I'll do my best too. Great clan elder Long Fei, great clan elder Long Fei. All of a sudden, the entire audience was shouting out Long Fei's name. His voice rumbled in the sky. On a barren hillside, Gui Qingshan, looked into the distance with his hands behind his back. Not long later, Miao Chong walked over in a hurry, hugged his hand slightly, and said, "I couldn't find it." Gui Qingshan's brows tightened and asked, "Where did he go?" Miao Chong said, "Great General, today's monthly pellets were released. I heard that the disciples of Xian Yu's sect received pellets of the 8th rank, and the elders received pellets of the Earth rank. All of these were made by Long Fei alone. Isn't this too unbelievable?" Gui Qingshan said indifferently, "He has always been creating miracles. I have always felt that he was unfathomable, but I realized that I was wrong. He is not someone we can see through." Humph! After Gui Qingshan finished speaking, he let out a long sigh. He had always felt that Long Fei had great potential, but he discovered he couldn't see through Long Fei at all. Miao Chong asked, "What do we do now? Shall we send someone to find him?" Gui Qingshan shook his head. "No need. Although I don't know why he left. I believe he will definitely come back. Long Fei, you should be preparing for the God's Sect gathering, right?" Gui Qingshan guessed that Long Fei had suffered some sort of stimulation. Otherwise, he would definitely not abandon his brothers and his only son. There were still 3 months until God's Sect gathering. 3 months. What kind of changes can you bring about? Gui Qingshan's eyes lit up. "I am so looking forward to it." After a long time, Gui Qingshan said, "It's time for us to prepare." Miao Chong revealed an excited expression. He cupped his fists and said, "As you command." 10 days later, boom, boom, rumble. Transformers was like a wild bull that had been going berserk. Within the mountain range, he was like a king, a level 9 peak demon beast. Transformers was indeed incomparably strong, unbridled. In these 10 days, using the power of the Transformers, Long Fei leveled up 1 more level, and he was already at the 6th level of the Origin Condensation Realm. 1 in 10 days. This was something that ordinary warriors would not even dare dream about. But to Long Fei, no, often no, full meaning. This was also because the aura on Transformers' body was too thick. Boom. Rumble. Transformers pushed himself up with his 4 limbs and leaped onto a tall mountain. He stopped and looked into the distance as the idea moved and said, "Boss, Xianyu Mountain Range is coming out from the front." Long Fei stood up and looked into the distance. In the distance was a sea of clouds. Nothing could be seen. In 10 days, they passed through Xianyu Mountain Range. He had seen the map before. On the other side of the Xianyu Mountain Range was the wilderness. His goal was to enter the wilderness. This was because the most dangerous place in Zhenwu continent was the wilderness. A level 9 demon beast was nothing in the wilderness, but Long Fei wanted to find those abnormal big demon beasts to hunt down and level up. Experience. It was a leveling up breakthrough. What Long Fei needed the most right now was levels. True Martial Emperor is amazing, right? Wait, give me enough demon beast, and I will overturn the entire Zhenwu continent. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly and thought of Eorong's master. The anger in his heart flared up. He felt indignant in his heart, but he knows that this is the time when a powerhouse is king. If you want to change, then you have to force others. The old granny was a powerhouse of the Emperor Zhenwu's realm, and with Long Fei's current cultivation, even if he looked up to her, he would not be able to compare to her. So he had to level up. He wanted to step into the Emperor Zhenwu's realm. He wanted to use 10 times, 100 times the usual methods to get revenge. He wanted his woman to be at the mercy of no one, let alone marry a eunuch. Long Fei looked at the other side of the sea of clouds and said, "Enter the wilderness." Transformers let out a roar, and his 4 limbs stared straight ahead. Boom! Swoosh! 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 Chapter 23, 90, Savage Gate. Chapter 23, 90, Savage Gate in the wilderness. It was a barren land, and similarly, it was a land of wealth. There was a desert here, and the spiritual energy was so scarce that it couldn't be detected at all. There were also places where the spiritual energy of the immortal world was extremely dense. At the same time, this was also the most dangerous place on Zhen Wu continent. Even the powerful magic tribe did not dare to rashly enter. There were extremely powerful demon beasts, various deserts, poisonous barriers, swamps, and various man-eating plants. This place was also known as the Death Land. Outside the Savage Mountain, a man and a beast stood there. Long Fei looked up into the distance. So big. Transformers also muttered, "It's really big." Right in front of them, the mountain range extended into the heavens. Standing far away, one wouldn't feel anything. However, when they arrived at the foot of the mountain, they discovered that the Savage Mountain range of the Savage Gate was simply so large that it caused one to shiver. This was the only way to enter the wilderness. Savage Mountain. He was also known as the Savage Gate. These mountains towered above the heavens and the earth. If one wanted to enter the center of the wilderness, they could only climb past Savage Gate. "Whew," Long Fei said. "Kong Kim, you can return to my beast space. I'll crawl over first." Transformers said, "Boss, I heard that Savage Gate is the most dangerous place on this continent. Just a slight mistake would cause one's body to shatter. But once I crawl over there, I will gain some insights." He wanted to crawl on his own. At the same time, he was also thinking for Long Fei. Since they were still in the Savage Gate, if something were to happen, he would be able to shoulder the burden for his boss as soon as possible. Long Fei said, "All right, then let's crawl together." He watched as Savage Gate took a step forward. Savage Gate was a steep cliff with no plants. Other than rocks, there were also rocks, and more so, the properties of these rocks are different. There were extremely cold rock, ice rocks. There were also incomparably hot flint stones. A mountain had 4 seasons. There were also unexpected dangers. And then again, the true essence here was being suppressed by some sort of force, making it impossible to completely release, which was his cultivation base had been crushed, making it impossible for him to fly over it. He could only crawl. Long Fei walked on it step by step, each step extremely careful. The Transformers was on the other side, so his enormous body was in even more danger. Transformers was also extremely careful. 2 hours passed. Long Fei climbed 1,000 meters. Another 2 hours passed. Long Fei's whole body was drenched with sweat, the tips of his hair dripping with sweat. His hand was burned by the firestone. It was as if the Transformers had fished it out of the water. From the moment Long Fei stepped onto this mountain, his health point had been declining nonstop, just like some special places in the game. With the spring of life, Long Fei quickly replenished it. However, Transformers would only be able to carry him with his life on his shoulders. Even if he had a lot of HP, it would still be used up some time. The Transformers did not hesitate and opened his mouth. Long Fei threw a pill into Kong Kim's mouth. But the instant the pill was thrown down, wow! A sharp shout suddenly came out from the mountain without waiting for Transformers' reaction. Shwa! A black shadow passed by. He immediately stopped the pill and quickly teleported to another place. It was extremely fast. It made people click their tongues. Long Fei couldn't even see it clearly. "What is it?" Transformers also shook his head. "I didn't see it clearly." Even Peak Demon Beast Level 9 could not see it clearly? Then what is this guy? Long Fei's consciousness moved and felt something. Other than the presence of the Transformers, he could not feel any other presence at all. And then Long Fei said, "I'll throw another one. Look carefully." Transformers nodded heavily. His eyes turned sinister as he stared at the sky. At this time, Long Fei threw it again. The pill slipped. Long Fei's eyes darkened as he stared below. Shwa! The black shadow flew out again. It was like a flash of black lightning that instantly intercepted the pill and quickly teleported to another place. It was too fast. However, this time, Long Fei was prepared, and he was able to see a little more clearly. Black lightning figure, huge wings, a sharp mouth. A Jurassic period animal suddenly appeared in Long Fei's mind. Damn, a wyvern! In just a short moment, Transformers' back was covered in blood. The painful Transformers was clenching his teeth, letting out a painful and furious roar. If this continued, Transformers will be bitten to death. Ha! Long Fei roared. He then took out a handful of pills from the space ring and sprinkled them down. Pills, take them and eat. Shwa, whoosh whoosh, asterisk, when the wyverns saw the medicine pills, they immediately went berserk. They gave up on Transformers and headed straight for the pills. Just like a shark smelling blood, Long Fei also grabbed this opportunity to jump onto the rock that could be used to stand and pull out the sky sword. F***CK. Again, Long Fei roared. This time, those wyverns knew that Long Fei had the pills on him, so they immediately gave up on attacking the Transformers and surrounded him. A black mass. Long Fei's scalp felt a little numb. He thought to himself, if I knew earlier, I would have refined some poison pills. Regret. Those wyverns didn't attack Long Fei, and seemed to be waiting for him to take out the pill. There was a moment of silence. Seeing Long Fei not taking out the pill after so long, they started to get angry and started to issue out sharp shouts. These shouts were accompanied by sound waves that could be seen with the naked eye. Ring after ring. Long Fei's ear drums seemed as though they were about to burst, as he felt incomparable discomfort. And that was because the sound was out of sync. If he synced, Long Fei would probably bleed out of his 7 orifices from the shock. F***CK. Isn't the wilderness too dangerous? We haven't even entered the wilderness, and we've already encountered such a monster demon beast. Looking at the bloody grooves on top of the winged dragon, Long Fei clenched his fists tightly and said, I like it. Come. Long Fei pointed and said, you want some pills, right? I'll give it to you. With a flick of his right hand, he retrieved a medicinal pill and tossed it lightly onto the ground. Shwa! Almost at the same time, Long Fei took out the medicinal pellet. All the wyverns charged forward. At this moment, the corner of Long Fei's mouth curved up as his true essence surged, completely pouring into the sky sword. But the sky sword did not give off a strange light. Ever since Long Fei had leveled up by 4 levels in a row, the sky sword seemed to have lost its original strength. The rust on it became thicker, and it really looked like a broken sword. He had lost all his strength. Although Long Fei did not know why, he believed that the sky sword in his hands was still ranked 3rd on the primordial divine weapon ranking. Kill! Shwa! With a slash of his sword, one of the wyvern's wings was cut off. The damage that appeared out of nowhere wasn't high. It was only a little more than 100 points, but its wings shattered, and the wyvern immediately fell down, smashing into the wall and the bloody groove above it. The system beeped. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 100,000 experience, 10,000 true chi points, and 1 arrogant god energy value point. Holy sh**t. A demon beast with experience in 100,000 points. The heck, I've struck it rich. However, at the same time, Long Fei received it with excitement. The looks in the eyes of the savage wyverns changed. They watched as their companions were killed. Anger burned in his eyes. She was extremely furious and stared straight at Long Fei. That gaze seemed to want to swallow Long Fei whole. Long Fei's heart skipped a beat, and he thought to himself, "Damn it! Wow." A savage wyvern let out a cry, and following that, the savage wyverns pounced towards Long Fei. Transformers roared. Roar! But it didn't work at all. A level 9 peak demon beast was not even worth mentioning here. Long Fei's eyes tensed up. The idea grabbed onto his arrogant god energy value and shouted, "Come here! Am I afraid of you beasts?" The sky sword moved. Shwa! A savage winged Long Fei stepped out and fiercely pecked at Long Fei's arm. Long Fei endured the pain and slashed down. Without waiting for him to retrieve his sword, the other savage wyverns pounced over. With a move of their sharp claws, they directly grabbed Long Fei and dragged him out of the stone, suspended in midair. In that instant, Long Fei was surrounded by the black mass of savage wyverns. It was a crazy attack. Long Fei was also frantically retaliating, but the number of savage wyverns was simply too great. Transformers could not care so much. With a roar, his huge body pounced forward, just that. Before he could pounce, he was caught by a group of savage wyverns and was constantly attacked. If this continued, Long Fei would die. Long Fei kept thinking of a way in his heart. At this time, in the sky, under the sun, a figure descended. It was more accurate to say that the winged figure landed on the ground. Long Fei was startled. "Birdie person, thank you for your support." The Birdman was not affected in the slightest. The long sword in his hand moved, pointing towards the sky. From below, it looked as if his sword had pierced the fiery sun. Then, he waved the long sword. Shwa! Boom! A powerful bolt of lightning came down from the sky and smashed into the group of wilderness winged dragons. Immediately, a violent explosion sounded out. Pa pa pa. This sound was like a slap to the giant. This caused Long Fei to be even more confused. Could it really be Angel Kyle? Why are all of his abilities so similar? Walala, pa pa pa, walala, pa pa pa. One slap on the left, the other on the right. Each time, fiery lightning would rain down from all directions. Those savage wyverns could only scream in pain, but were unable to counterattack. Furthermore, they did not dare to charge forward. He was extremely afraid. The savage wyverns were fleeing in all directions. They were no longer in the mood to eat Long Fei now. Fleeing for their lives was more important at this time. Thus, Long Fei's claws loosened, and Long Fei immediately fell to the ground. Transformers was the same. Its enormous body immediately fell down. Long Fei's heart sank. Damn, if I don't get eaten now, I'll also die from the fall. At this moment, the avian swooped down and grabbed Long Fei. Long Fei raised his eyes and instantly made eye contact with the avian. His body emitted a strong aura of a demon beast. There was also the aura of a human. Alien races? Long Fei did not think too much and did not care if he understood what she said, immediately saying, "Throw me onto the stone wall and help my brother." The orc's eyes trembled slightly and looked at Long Fei seriously. A strange light flashed in his eyes, and he did the same as he flung Long Fei up into the sky. True essence was released. Long Fei roared, his hands gripping onto the sky sword tightly. The long sword pierced the rock wall and rapidly slid down, causing sparks to fly everywhere. Long Fei used all his strength. Finally, boom! The sky sword pierced the rock wall. Long Fei also grabbed the sword hilt to stabilize his body. Hanging in midair, His sword bent, gently swaying, although Long Fei did not know why the sky sword lost its original strength, but he was sure that the sky sword would not break. It was also at this time Bird Person grabbed onto the free fall of Transformers. His enormous body easily rose up in the air. With a flap of his wings, he flew into the air. Long Fei finally let out a sigh of relief in his heart. Phew! The reason why Transformers followed him was so that he could become stronger and break through, but he couldn't. He had almost been turned into a meat patty just now. Having fought together meant that they were brothers. He had saved Transformers before, and Transformers had risked his life for him as well. It didn't matter if he was a demon beast or something else. Long Fei treated him as a brother. The avian caught the Transformers and flew in front of Long Fei. The eyes inside the helmet looked at Long Fei and said, "I will fly you." The voice was pleasant to the ear. It was like a wind chime. It was only then that Long Fei noticed the armor on her. Female. Without waiting for Long Fei's agreement, he immediately grabbed Long Fei's shoulders and moved his wings. Shwa, and directly carried Long Fei flying. And Transformers' bodies weighed at least 100 tons, but she was very relaxed. Furthermore, the power that she had released just now, this Birdman was not simple at all. If she was a demon beast, that should be at least Earth stage, because demon beastess that could speak human language were at least Earth stage, and they also had higher intelligence. This kind of intelligence demon beast was extremely terrifying. If it wasn't a demon beast, it was a mutated race, also known as a foreign race. Aliens were extremely rare in the Zhenwu continent. There were no such things in the human world. If they were alien, then Long Fei and Transformers would have a hard time escaping death. The non-human kind hated humans to the extreme. It was even more intense than the hatred the demon beast had towards humans. No matter what she is, Long Fei and Transformers are probably in danger. Long Fei asked, "Where are you bringing us?" Bird Person did not say anything as he continued flying. Her face could not be seen under the thick armor. Seeing that he did not answer her question, Long Fei did not ask any further. Half an hour later, at the end of Savage Gate, Long Fei looked down and could not help but exclaim, "It's really too high." Looking down at the thousands of kilometers around the wilderness, the world here was truly different from the outside. At this moment, the Birdman's speed changed. He suddenly accelerated and dived down. Chapter 2393, Beast Sight. Chapter 2393, Beast Sight. His speed suddenly changed. Violent winds whistled by like thunder. It was extremely painful to blow on his face. Transformers woke up from the pain once again. Seeing that he was still hanging in the air, his eyes twitched, about to become angry and roar. Long Fei moved and immediately warned, "King Kong, calm down." Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Just as the avians sped up their dive, the sound of the earth moving could be heard from below the hill, along with a series of explosions. Suddenly, a giant winged ant flew out from the ground, opening its two large maw and pincers, aiming for the Birdman's wings. "What's that?" Long Fei was shocked. The avian changed its direction and dodged the attack. "Ant," it replied. "Ants." Long Fei was shocked. "An ant that is thicker than humans. What joke is this?" "An ant with wings." After dodging the attack, the avian didn't slow down. Instead, it increased its speed to its limit and rushed out even faster. With a flap of its wings, the air around it became like a whirlpool. Long Fei could not see the avian's expression under the helmet, but he could feel that she was very serious. These ants are tricky. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Asterisk, the flying ant on the ground flew into the air one by one, their large mouth pincers glinting with a cold light. As soon as they were bitten, their body would immediately go numb, and all the muscles in their body would contract. Bird person frantically tried to evade. It was like a fighter in the air. Long Fei's heart sank again. What kind of place is the wilderness exactly? However, this is the right place. Long Fei did not feel any fear in his heart, but he was more excited. The stronger the monster was, and the higher its level, the more experience it would gain. What he needed the most right now was experience. The God Sect gathering only had 3 months. In these 3 months, Long Fei will do everything he could to hunt for Demon Beast S and level up. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. A massive boom filled the air. Behind the avians, a large group of flying ant were chasing after them. In front of them, there was also a group of flying ant lying in ambush, as if they were there specifically to ambush the avians. Bird person's eyebrows tightened. He looked at the ground and said, "Jump down." Long Fei was startled. Without waiting for him to react, the orc's hand relaxed. Long Fei and Transformers immediately started falling towards the ground. They were hundreds of meters in the air. An ordinary person's body would not be able to withstand it. Transformers was severely injured, so even if he did not die from the fall, he would still become crippled. The space between Long Fei's eyebrows tightened, and the sky sword in his hand started to dance nonstop. Phantom sword dance, phantom sword dance, phantom sword dance. He continued to superimpose sword energy. At the same time, Long Fei also increased his diving speed. He needed to first have Transformers land so that he would have the chance to protect Transformers. He was frantically accumulating sword chi in midair. Avians did not wait for death to come. After putting down Long Fei and Transformers, her body became visibly lighter, and she stopped in place for half a second. Then, his body rolled over. Swish! Glaring at the spot, Zhang Xian's speed rubbed the air, and a ball of white smoke appeared. In that instant, it was high up in the sky. The flying ant gathered together and watched as the avian flew into the air. It quickly condensed into a fried dough twist and, like the tongue of a monster, chased after it. Once felt that the battle between Transformers and Colorful Lizard was like a battle between gods. But compared to the fierce battle in front of him, that fight was nothing but a child's play. It was not even worth mentioning. This was a real battle between deities. He couldn't understand it at all. After reaching a certain height, the avian turned around and suddenly dove down. It took out its golden longsword and ignited it. The fiery lightning struck down violently. Boom, boom, boom. Rumble, 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 rumble. The flying ants' limbs were all over the place and were instantly crushed by the avians. Long Fei glanced at the sky slightly and thought in his heart, "Damn, isn't this Birdman a bit too awesome? At least, is it a heaven-ranked demon beast? 30 meters, 20 meters, 10 meters. Long Fei crazily calculated as he looked at the ground. When he was still 3 meters away from the ground, the sky sword in Long Fei's hands suddenly exploded. Sword chi. Explode. The accumulated hundreds of sword chis were suddenly released. It landed directly on the ground. The strong force reflected off the ground countered Long Fei's falling speed. Boom. Long Fei landed safely. Walala, walala. A towering tree was crushed by the Transformers. Long Fei's gaze tensed up. He did not care anymore at this time, and roared in his heart, "Arrogant God, energy value. Explode for me." The arrogant God, energy value accumulated over 10 days were released. In regards to brothers, Long Fei was not the least bit stingy, let alone arrogant God energy value. Even if it was holy artifact-s, he would not hesitate in the slightest. with a step under Transformers. Long Fei's right leg fiercely stomped and flew up, directly supporting Transformers' enormous body. Ah! Blue veins popped out. His face flushed. Rumble! He landed heavily on the ground. Transformers immediately flipped over and coughed out a mouthful of blood. "Boss, are you all right?" Cough, cough, cough. Cough, cough, cough. Long Fei coughed continuously and waved his hand. "It's fine. I won't die yet." At this moment, the bones in Long Fei's hands were all broken. If not for arrogant god energy value, he would have been crushed to death by the Transformers' descending speed. He hurriedly swallowed a few pills. The bone quickly healed, and Long Fei slowly breathed out. "Fortunately, I brought a lot of medicinal pellets with me this time. Military pellets are really good stuff. I have all kinds of high-leveled spirit grass." After 3 days and 3 nights of refining, Long Fei had refined a lot of high-grade spirit liquid from the military pills and refined it into an Earth-ranked pill. And then, Long Fei then walked in front of Transformers, poured a bunch of pills into his mouth, and said, "Don't say anything. First stabilize your injuries." As the pill entered his body, warmth spread in all directions. The pain was quickly suppressed. The wounds on Transformers' body quickly stopped bleeding. Each pill refined using the method of using the heaven and earth, as the furnace was of the highest quality. Seeing that the injuries on Transformers' body were being controlled and there was no danger to his life, Long Fei said, "Stay here and don't run around. I'll go take a look at that Birdman." He might have. Long Fei had not finished speaking. Boom! A golden bolt of lightning descended, and a golden wave of light bounced off the ground. It was a great show. The avian put away his sword, looked at Long Fei, and said, "You cannot stay here for long. Quickly come with me." Long Fei asked anxiously, "Where to?" Bird Person looked around and said, "Escape Beast Sight." Long Fei asked, "Beast Sight? What is a beast sight?" Bird said, "It's the beast battling arena. Many people are watching. If they can't escape, they will die here." Beast battling arena? Someone's watching? Who? Long Fei's face was filled with astonishment. He did not discover the identity of the person. And furthermore, if this was a coliseum, then wouldn't this arena be too big? Terrifying. It was still the flying ant from before, but the wings on its back had been retracted. With quick steps like the wind, he rushed towards Long Fei. It was densely packed. Every single one of them was even bigger than Long Fei. This scene caused everyone's scalps to go numb. Long Fei's gaze tensed up as he looked at the flying ant rushing towards him from all directions. He let out a heavy breath in his heart and said to the Transformers, "Steady, steady, please calm down." Transformers clenched his fists and tightly held onto the huge tree. In that instant, a flying ant suddenly pounced over. Long Fei roared, "God of the Dragon touching, come out!" Boom! Under the catalysis of the force of variation, the fate centipede evolved into a God of the Dragon touching. Following Long Fei's call, the ground moved, and in a flash, it broke through the earth as its enormous body was lifted into the air. Without waiting for the flying ant to pounce towards Long Fei, it spat out a huge mouthful of venom. Walala! The flying ant's entire body was paralyzed, turning into a gray color. It too fell from the sky. It was also at this time. Transformers' eyes stared wide open. The big stick in his hand smashed down towards the flying antess on the ground. Paji! His entire body shattered. The system beeped. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Flying Ant for obtaining 150,000 experience, 10,000 true chi points, 1 energy values point. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining soaring wings. Evolutionary condition, force of variation. Long Fei didn't think much of it and directly replied, "No." Flying ants could be shockingly high level outside, but it wasn't much in the wilderness. It might be a bit of a waste to use the force of variation on a flying wings. Moreover, Long Fei was not in a rush. The most important thing now was to clean up all these flying and upgrade was the key. Walala, walala, walala. The god of the dragon touching venom violently sprayed, as if it was a group of holy artifact fighting against each other. Moreover, it was a defensive weapon. His only weakness was that he could only summon it once a day and could not move it at all. If he could move it, then Long Fei would have the Poison King with him at any time. The blood on the head of the flying ant that was charging towards him was falling rapidly. 4,223 inch, 3,492, 5,221. The attacks of these flying ant were ferocious, but their defense was extremely weak. When they tried to get close to the god of the dragon touching, the venom released by it would immediately change into a numbing effect. The transformers began to rage. Mad slaps. Long Fei didn't need to do anything, and directly listened to the beautiful system beep. This kind of tempo, how wonderful! 150,000 experience points each. 10 is 1,500,000. Chapter 2395. Redeem Double Experience Scrolls. Chapter 2395. Redeem Double Experience Scrolls. Universal Large World was vast and boundless with many planes. Naturally, there were also countless experts. There would always be some experts who would find it hard to eat their fill and would go around looking for fun. Right now, this beast site was created by a few powerhouses. They turned this place into a place where strange beasts fought for hegemony, fought and killed, betting, gambling, and seeking entertainment. This was not the first time Immortal Master Lu Yuan had been here. He had never felt anything before, but this time, when Long Fei appeared, his strength wavered slightly. His perception was extremely strong. He was the person with the strongest perception under the throne. When he saw Long Fei, he immediately sensed a special kind of power from Long Fei's body. This power was also the inherited power on Long Fei's left arm. It was also the superforce of Ming Clan. Logically speaking, it was impossible for the power of the ancient inheritance to appear in such a low plane, because any inherited powers were birthed from the ancient world, and it was obtained by the people in the ancient world. The inheritance of the ancient world was now under the control of the gods' tribe. 100,000 inheritance. The gods' tribe only had control over 98,000 inheritances. This was also the reason why the gods' tribe was able to firmly control the universal large world. No one could match them. In regards to the sudden appearance of the ancient inheritance, Lu Yuan was secretly shocked. He only sensed it slightly. Does Long Fei have the power of the ancient inheritance? He also didn't dare guarantee it, and he himself didn't really believe that such a lowly person with ancient inheritance would appear. Lu Yuan pondered for a long time before letting out a sigh. Let me take a look first. Boom, boom, boom. God of the dragon, touching, sprayed out violently, scattering the venom all over the place. Stood at the same place and had not made a move the entire time. He basically did not need to do anything. The system kept beeping. Ding, ding, ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing, Flying Ant for obtaining 150,000 experience, 10,000 true chi points, 1 arrogant god energy value point. His experience rapidly increased. Half an hour later, ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, 7th level of the Essence Condensation Realm. Long Fei was overjoyed. I leveled up? Ha ha. breaking through the 7th level of the origin condensation realm in half an hour, this speed. Who else? However, it would be even better if it could be faster. Long Fei had always been a person that he could not be satisfied with. This kind of leveling up speed could be said to be unprecedented, but he was still not satisfied. He still wished to be able to level up even faster, so that he could instantly upgrade Emperor Zhenwu's realm. He wished he could stand in front of Yi Yorong's master with the Emperor Zhenwu's realm. No talent, no blood vein. This father will still trample you. Right. Many games have special props, such as double experience scroll, 3 times for times, 5 times. There's even an attack scroll. Let me take a look. And then Long Fei immediately opened the system merchant shop and looked through the big special scrolls. Long Fei's eyes sank. F***CK your grandpa. A double experience book costs 1,000,000 trading points, and it only lasted 3 minutes. 4 times the original cost 8 million. Double attack scroll, 10 million. 4 times critical hit scroll, 25 million. Looking at these long numbers, Long Fei was secretly speechless. System, why don't you just snatch it? Even tycoons can't afford to play with it. 1,000,000 exchange value. Long Fei's current exchange value didn't even have 5 digits. For such a long time, he had basically given all the items that Long Fei had dropped to the people around him, but he did not leave anything behind. Suddenly, Long Fei thought in his heart, "That's right, didn't I burst out with the soaring wings just now?" Amongst the flying ant that he had killed, there were quite a few that had dropped their flying wings. Long Fei had never used force of variation fusion. Recycling. Long Fei didn't want to talk about force of variation being used on this kind of thing. After all, the flying ant wasn't particularly strong. Ding. System notification. Soaring wings can be exchanged for 10,000 exchange value. Do you want to trade? Only 10,000 points. Long Fei was speechless and said, "System, you are an evil merchant. Exchange." Although Long Fei's heart hurt, but he still exchanged. Ding. Exchange value plus 10,000 points. Ding. Exchange value plus 10,000 points. Half a minute later. Ding. System notification. Players exchange value 9,10323 points. F***CK. I still need 90,000 exchange value to exchange for a double experience scroll. Long Fei looked at the system merchant shop and drooled. Following that, Long Fei flipped through the space ring S again. Moreover, he flipped through the 73 space ring in the system space. However, he couldn't even take out a piece of dog shit. What level will I have to reach to get the item inside? Long Fei was a little depressed. He could obviously be as rich as a nation. He could obviously be very rich, but he could only watch and not use it. This was the most difficult thing in the world. The 73 space ring S contained all sorts of powerful items. Any one of them could be said to be an existence that could crush everything in the Zhenwu continent, but he just couldn't take it out. What could you do? Chapter 2396, Vajra Transformation, Double-Headed. Chapter 2396, Vajra Transformation, Double-Headed. The god of the dragon touching was too slow. With double EXP of only 180 seconds, Long Fei did not want to miss a single second. If he relied on the god of the dragon touching speed, he would probably only be able to kill 10 of them within the next 3 minutes. That would be too much of a waste. The only choice. It was also the only way to charge into the herd. It was good to do more damage. The moment Long Fei rushed into the herd of beasts, Transformers suddenly leaped up and took the lead to jump in front of Long Fei. He swept the remaining half of the towering tree and made a path for Long Fei. Next, a man and a beast, a sword, and a big stick charged into the herd. Is he crazy? On the peaks of Savage Gate, those powerhouse were slightly shocked as they could not understand Long Fei's actions. Obviously, with the god of the dragon touching and Transformers helping him, the flying ant would never be able to hurt him, but now he had to rush into a horde of ants. Is my brain spasming? Urgent death. I was planning to mobilize some other strange beasts, but it seems like there's no need. Humans are extremely cowardly. I didn't think that even their brains wouldn't work. Humans in the lower planes are far less intelligent. Didn't someone just bet on him? Who was that person? I'll take as much as you pay. Ha ha. Immortal Master Lu Yuan also looked at Long Fei. He did not understand either. In this situation, logically speaking, he should have just continued wasting time, but he just had to rush into the colony of ants. It had to be known that the attacks of these flying ants were extremely fierce, and once bitten, they would basically become useless. Seems like I must have made a mistake. The immortal Master Lu Yuan was also slightly amused by the mysterious power he had sensed earlier. How can such a plane have an ancient era's inheritance? In another place, Bird Person, who hadn't left for some time, was secretly surprised. Is he crazy? He asked. You want to die by rushing in there? He did not understand either. The strength of humans in this world was too weak, let alone in the wilderness. But he still wanted to rush into the colony. It was no different from courting death. However, there was a hint of pity in Bird Person's eyes. The reason why she saved Long Fei was because Long Fei had brought a demon beast, Transformers, to his brother. That was why she was moved to save him. But now, he was no longer saved. Bird Person's expression was somewhat disdainful as he coldly said, "Humans always like to do things that they overestimate themselves in order to never be able to change this bad habit." His eyes turned cold. Bird Person flapped his wings and watched quietly. There was no intention to save Long Fei at all. Boom. Transformers swung his pole down, causing Long Fei's sword to move. Fairy from heaven. Shwa. A sword shot out, directly piercing through the flying ant's head and striking a red dot on its lower jaw. Suddenly, the flying ant died instantly. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 300,000 experience for killing flying ant, 10,000 true chi points, 1 arrogant god energy value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining soaring wings. You wish to fuse them? As expected, double experience is great. Long Fei shouted excitedly. Just as he was about to use the fairy from heaven, the surrounding ants all flew over. Transformers slightly moved his body, directly using his enormous body to block the majority of Long Fei's attacks, but his back was torn apart. Flesh and blood flew everywhere. Blood splattered everywhere. The intense poison spread throughout his body. However, Transformers did not scream at all. He turned around and used one hand to grab the huge tree and swept it out. Walala! He had once again repelled the colony of ants. It was also at this moment Transformers looked at Long Fei, and Long Fei nodded heavily. Transformers took out the thing Long Fei gave him and consumed it. Boom! A power boom sounded out. The Transformers' body released a loud explosive sound. The power rampaged out. Crack, crack, crack. Every bone in his body exploded, and his muscles swelled. As fast as they were, they became as hard as steel. The armor on his body also changed, as if it had a life of its own. In front of his chest, boom. When the armor closed, it immediately covered the entire chest. His knees, elbows, and thick back were all covered by the chainmail-like armor. The power in his entire body suddenly changed. Not only that, right at Transformers' neck, a series of bone explosions sounded out. In that instant, one head, a head that was exactly the same as the Transformers. It grew out from his neck. It was even more vicious. Furthermore, an increase in strength by tons. His eyes were ferocious and bloodshot. The newborn head was abnormally terrifying and hideous, but he was incomparably excited. Transformers was incomparably excited. Long Fei was also shocked. He did not expect it to become like this. Double-headed, King Kong. King Kong, how do you feel? Long Fei was worried that Kong Kim's body might not be able to take it, or maybe he was not used to having two heads. It was just that. Long Fei's worry was completely unnecessary. Transformers said, "Boss, just one word. Great." This time, he did not use the idea to communicate with Long Fei, but simply said it out loud. This meant that he had just broken through. His current cultivation was already an Earth-stage demon beast. Roar. The two-headed king let out an excited roar, and with a hug, it threw out a punch. Pung, pung, pung. A series of explosions sounded in the air. A flying ant was sent flying a kilometer away. Stunned. Long Fei was also extremely excited. The force of variation is fierce. The thing that was given to the Transformers just now was the force of variation. While Long Fei was still stunned, the avian in the sky was also incomparably shocked. Looking at the change in Transformers' body, she could immediately tell that it was the force of variation. Shouldn't the force of variation be a special power produced by the changes in the world? Shouldn't fusing with this kind of special power cause it to transform? Could it be? This strange power can even be controlled by someone. If that's the case, then does he have the force of variation's antidote on him? Bird Person's eyes tensed up, staring straight at Long Fei. She didn't want to be like this. It could be said, she hated herself for being like this. She hated herself for having wings, hated herself for being different from her people. At one point, she even cut off her wings, but the wings would regrow the next day, and she couldn't control them at all. It was also because of the wings on her back that she was brought here for others to play with. She hated him. Humans were not humans, but beasts were not beasts. She hated herself. Seeing the transformation in Transformers' body, she immediately knew that the fusion of her previous powers could be controlled by someone, so it meant that she could be removed. Just as the avians were thinking about this, Transformers was already frantically killing, and Long Fei laughed sinisterly. And at the same time that Kong Kim unleashed his berserk attack, he roared, "Wild God energy, explode!" Chapter 2397. The Good Show Has Just Begun. Chapter 2397. The Good Show Has Just Begun release of Arrogant God Energy Value. Long Fei was like an engine with a special ability infused into it, as he became ferocious, a man and a beast. They began a wild slaughter. Boom, 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 as if it was crushing dry weeds. It madly ravaged those flying ant. Ding, ding, ding. The system beep went berserk. In this instant, Long Fei and Kong Kim were like gods of death. Those flying ant continued to gather and were smashed apart by Long Fei in that instant. Corpses were everywhere. In just 3 short minutes, Long Fei leveled up another level. He had already reached the 8th level of the origin condensation realm. He made a fierce comparison. It was also due to their crazy killing spree and brutal strength that the flying ant quickly retreated, something that had never happened before. The strength of the colony of ants was extremely savage. Even if they met creatures stronger than them, they would not fear them in the slightest. In his previous life, man-eating ants could be said to be an invincible existence. Lions and elephants would fear them, and the flying ant just now was hundreds of millions of times more savage than man-eating ants. Huff! Long Fei sat on the ground. His entire body seemed to be paralyzed as he panted heavily. This is great. He was sweating profusely. His entire body was tired. Every inch of his skin was tired under the high-speed circulation. His body was simply unable to withstand it. But it felt really good to be able to persevere on and on. The only thing that felt even better was that Long Fei had leveled up in 3 minutes. Transformers said excitedly, "It's not fun." Long Fei glanced at Transformers and said, "Abnormal." The current Transformers was truly abnormal. Although he had just broken through the Earth Stage Demon Beast, the power he was unleashing had already reached the Earth Stage peak rank. Moreover, in the previous battle, he did not use King Kong Powerful Fist. This was his strongest move, but he did not know how strong his move would be after mutation. And then again, if he were to use the parasitic possession technique, how powerful would his strength be? Long Fei was very much looking forward to it. After resting for a few minutes, Long Fei swallowed a medicinal pellet, and his strength recovered a little. He stood up, looked at his surroundings, and muttered, "What kind of place is the wilderness?" Everything was different here. It was like a lost world, very different from the demon beast and living beings in the outside world, even flowers, plants, and trees, especially the demon beast. These demon beasts were not like the demon beast in this world. When Long Fei was at Xianyu Sect, he had read through the records of beasts. Boom! At this moment, he looked at Long Fei and said, "I told you before, this is the beast site." The avian descended. Transformers immediately stood up. Bird Person looked at Transformers seriously, convinced that the reason for Transformers' transformation just now was due to his special powers. Long Fei slightly said, "Didn't you leave?" Bird Person looked at Long Fei and asked, "Did he fuse with the force of variation just now?" Huh! Long Fei was shocked. How does he know about the force of variation? This power was from the mutated demon beast he summoned out by Mingyu. The quantity did not drop, as even the system had this kind of power. However, it required 100,000 exchange value to exchange for a bit. Bird Person was startled when he saw Long Fei's expression. He immediately took a step forward and asked, "Do you have the antidote?" The moment she took a step forward, the Transformers suddenly moved and immediately went on guard. Even though the avians had saved him before, the Transformers did not relax, because Long Fei was his boss. No matter who it was, as long as it was Long Fei. Long Fei said, "There is no antidote for the force of variation." Bird Person was startled. His body trembled slightly as he said, "Impossible! How could this be? If there is such a thing as a power, then there must be another power that can dissolve it. There must be an antidote. There can't be no antidote. And everything in the world is connected to each other. If there is power of change, then there must be power that can dissolve it." Bird Person became excited. She was looking for it. She's been looking for. She didn't want to be a bird all her life. She had never given up. After so many years had passed, the hope in her heart slowly became disappointment, almost despair. But when she saw the god of the dragon touching, she immediately knew that it was a mutated product. Perhaps what you said is correct, but I really do not have the antidote to dissolve the force of variation. Long Fei was a little excited when he saw the avian coming out. At the same time, Long Fei was suspicious. The force of variation can make people stronger. Is that not good? Although Long Fei had never used the force of variation before, no matter if it was the god of the dragon touching or the Transformers, they were both extremely excited. This was because of his strength. The only faith in this world is strength. The powerhouse was the master of everything, and power was the master of everything. Becoming strong was everyone's dream. She looked at Long Fei with some unwillingness. Why do you have a force of variation? And it can be controlled. She had fused with the force of variation without knowing it. They weren't under his control at all. Long Fei shrugged his shoulders and said, "Maybe I am handsome, with good character." Could he say that he killed the monster himself? The avian looked at Long Fei and asked again, "Do you really not have the antidote to dissolve the force of variation?" Long Fei said, "Really, I don't have any." Is it not good to become stronger? Bird Person was very powerful. Even if she wasn't the angel Kyle, she didn't have an invincible ability. She was just as tough. At least, Long Fei was shocked. It could be said that many people would be envious of the fact that it was possible to fly. Bird Person smiled bitterly and said, "Become strong? If I had turned myself into a human or a beast, I would rather die than have such a great power." Everyone's world was different. Long Fei did not ask any further. Right now, he has no time to care about the force of variation's antidote. He wanted to become strong, become the kind of person who can do whatever he wants. God of Death, the kind of person who stepped on the sky with his heaven defensive sword. King Kong, let's go. Long Fei called out. Transformers kept his battle mode, and Long Fei also jumped onto his shoulder. Transformers glanced at the avian, then walked into the forest. Bird Person froze on the spot. This human is very interesting. Do you want to make something more interesting? Of course. He was just slapping us in the face. If we don't get back at him, how can we do that? It was the flying ant just now. This time, how about I get a bunch of black dark magician beasts from the dark world? Let's start betting. That human won't live more than a day under the bet of 3 earth spiritual weapons. Kid, the show has only just begun. Thank you for your support. You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.